I don't really have a format, so usually we just like start and then end, and then that's kind of it. There's no like intro, and if there's like stuff to get to know about you, that just happens throughout the conversation, and it's
Yeah.
just more natural that way.
I think that's the kind of stuff that I tend to like to watch anyway, like the more natural sort of, like, I mean, it doesn't have to be like as far on the one spectrum as like like a radio show with like voices and sound effects and stuff.
Yeah,
And then on the other side, it's just like, people just like talking about nothing. We are like, engaging and stuff. But yeah, it does feel like, I don't know, I'm more drawn to that kind of stuff. And it's
cool.
funny that you're thinking about it for a year and then finally pulling the trigger. Like, I feel like I have so much of that kind of stuff, and I kind of think about it in a way of almost like a cup, like spilling over.
Oh yeah, that's
Like
a good
you're just
analogy.
like slowly filling up, and then at some point it's just gonna spill, and you can't stop it, and
Yeah,
it's just like kind of happening.
yeah,
Um,
I love that.
so yeah, it's cool, man. Like I appreciate that kind of mentality.
I like the analogy. I'm like a big analogy person. I like coming up with analogies for all kinds of things. I think it's like, and sometimes I do it and they don't make sense, but they make sense to me. And
Yeah,
sometimes you put a thought into an analogy and then it's like, wait, I think I understand the idea way more than I did in its original state now that I've like
yeah,
articulated it in this new way.
yeah.
So yeah, if you have analogies for things, I love hearing them, even if
All
you
right,
think that they're
I'll
like
drop them
off
as
the
they come
wall.
in.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, thanks for doing this. I
Of course.
like you were one of the few people that kind of reached out after I had my talk with Ben Morrow, and one of the reasons that I do this is to kind of I just want to talk to people that are like and this is and again I don't really know where you're at in your career or in your projects and stuff, but I feel like that makes it more fun and interesting and spontaneous. But the other part of this is that I remember like being back in college and I would, look for every kind of artistic thing I can get into, like either community or just like resources. So, like looking up tutorials or videos or podcasts or anything. And there was a period where there was a lot of like cool concept arty style podcasts kind of back to back. And one thing that I felt those were nice to listen to, but being like a college kid, I was like, none of these people are like in college, or like none of these artists are like working at a grocery store. They're all like
Right.
full professional. They have their life in order, and they're speaking like wise things, but it's not really resonating with me. So
Yeah.
I always had this thought of like, it would be cool to talk to people that are kind of like all different levels, like college kids to a kid who just got their first like viral video on Instagram and doesn't know what to do with that, with all that attention and just has like this drive to scramble, all the way to like
Yeah.
people who have had long careers and have worked at a lot of the places that some of the younger people might look up to and have like these like uh, aspirations to reach. And then just I feel like there's a lot of cool stuff to cross between those two levels and just to hear for like your average listener or your average artist. A lot of it is probably just like good validation to be like, hey, this
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
this also kind of sucks, and then you're like, okay, cool, like I'm not an artist struggling by myself in my room. Other artists, despite their like status, are also kind of struggling and they're barely figuring out their own stuff. So it's always just
Yeah.
like validating to hear that.
I think it's smart too to kind of have both sides of the spectrum like that, in the sense that um I think older artists can get like kind of siloed off a little bit sometimes,
Mm.
but also like feeding off that young energy and feeding off like someone who's coming in and super hungry, and also just, I think at some point in your career, because I'm like, with the gray hair and everything, like I'm a bit of an old goat and I've been around and I've done a lot of stuff, but at some point I think it's nice to like share knowledge and to kind of um I think it's maybe a little like trendy to like give back and stuff, but it is nice to kind of have a bit of um, I don't know, stuff to kind of like give back,
Yeah,
share,
definitely.
whatever way you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
um, and also just kind of be engaging. I think with new people,
Mm-hmm.
like that for me is like a really big thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think especially this year,
Mm.
like doing the streaming
Yeah,
and
dude.
this, and that stuff is all coming like super like naturally, just
Okay.
because I'm kind of in this position where I feel really comfortable with just doing it. It's not really like performative or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just kind of like I just want to engage with other people that are either in my industry or are looking to like be interested in art or
Yeah.
not at all, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so this kind of discourse for me is really like really rewarding
Nice.
and pretty important too. Like I think just kind of like hearing different perspectives, like you're doing your thing and like your life situation's totally different, but we're both connected through like a passion for art and a
Yeah.
passion for story and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of stuff, um, yeah, it's super cool.
I think it's good to hear you like have this like interest in being in the community or like building a community, because that's another part of like being a professional artist, or just kind of like putting the blinders on and being like, I need to get this job or this position, and then once you get it, you're like in it, and you end up, it's like 20 years later, and then you're like, oh, I want to do other things, or I want to meet other people or whatever. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah. I
seeing
mean,
you
I
do those
think it
streams is
is.
good.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's value in both of those things, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like, um, I guess I want to say, like, life as a freelancer works best for me now in my life situation.
Mm,
Sometimes I miss, like, the studio life, the studio vibe a little bit.
interesting.
Um, and, like, I've bounced around quite a bit in my career too,
Yeah.
like cities and various like facets of art and um, entertainment art, design, some like product, gaming,
Mm,
features, all kind of like anything that kind of interests me. So that was always the driving factor, was like, what am I into?
mm,
Where can I find the people that are like doing it like in such a way that inspires me and pushes me?
yeah, yeah.
And a lot of times that's like moving to a different city
Wow.
and taking a pay cut so you can work at the studio,
Mm,
like that kind of stuff. But um,
that's interesting. I mean, I think like that is something I super admire in artists, like who can do that. It's not something that I don't think I've been put in a position where I like have to do that, and I fears that opportunity sometimes coming up,
yeah,
because it's like
it's a risk. Yeah,
you're, especially if you have like your friends in your area, and you have like your partner or whatever, like you have a
yeah,
dog and your dog has a place, or like you have kids or whatever. Once you're kind of settling down just a little bit, it's like I might just hang out here for a bit and try to change what I'm chasing, or like redefine that. um I think that's, I don't know, I'm very curious about that way of the way that your career has been. Like, has it ever like tested you in some way? Has it ever been like a really hard decision, or maybe it didn't work out in the way that you hoped? Like taking a pay cut, like did that impact your finances? Or moving, did that impact your like mental health or something in some type of way?
yeah, 100%. I mean, both are true in the sense like I think the pay cut thing, I'm talking about a very specific time in my career, where I was doing a lot of like interactive work, working at like boutique shops and stuff. And there was a really exciting part of like web that I thought was really creative and different.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of part of that for about a decade. And um, I wanted to go to these like the best shops basically, right? And one of them was in Stockholm,
Okay.
and I was really happy. I was working in Laguna in
Oh,
California,
cool.
and I was like working by the beach every day, and like, just like I had really good friends
Yeah,
and
man.
had this like nice, the clients were all right, and the work was fine, and I was still growing and all this. But I really wanted to like prove myself and work at this studio, and they had like this art test that I had taken several years earlier, and they had rejected it. And then so I was like trying again, and then they accepted it, and I flew out there and I did an interview, and then they offered me a job, and then I
Wow.
moved to like Stockholm in the middle of winter, from LA, and like, yeah, took a big pay cut because European places pay less, and also I was like, they had their structure was very like flat, so you kind of came in as like whoever you were, what didn't really matter because like all the people that were there were like super like crushers, and
Jeez.
so it came in and just like sweating and like doing my best, and came out and came out of there like a year and a half later, like way sharper, way better. And then I also made like lifelong friends out of it. That one really
Interesting.
paid off from like
Yeah,
a life perspective, like people that I still see to this day
that's good.
that are super close. And also just the experience of being there was really special.
Yeah.
And then I've had other times where I've like taken risk, or, you know, I won't name like clients,
Sure, for
but
sure.
worked for like a studio that I was like super hyped on,
Yeah.
and then the experience just like wasn't good, like that meeting your heroes kind of thing, and you're just like, oh, and it's like for whatever reason, like it would just wasn't good, or just wasn't like a connection wasn't there. So both things can be true, I think um, you can take risks and like have them pay off
Yeah.
and gain other things outside of art through that, like life experience and friends and like,
Yeah.
things that like reflect down the line.
Yeah.
Or you can be like, end up working on like a lightning in a bottle type project that only comes around like
Yeah.
you don't even know when you're in it. You're just like, this is fun. And then a year later or
Yeah.
10 years later, you're like, that's never going to happen again.
Yeah. That's so interesting that you say that specifically, because that was one of the things that Ben also mentioned when we talked, was that lightning in the bottle moment. So I feel like,
You have to kind of find those, I think. And they don't come like necessarily by you like not doing anything, you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like sometimes you have to like put yourself out there for those things to sort of like line up.
Yeah. I think that that ability to take risks and to leave like your like nest or whatever is definitely a, I don't know, I feel like it's almost like a personality type, because I have friends that are willing to like take a risk like that. And I admire that, and I sometimes wonder like, oh my god, if I could do that, like I'd be so powerful. You know what I mean? That you kind of see something in somebody else, you're like, damn it, if I had that like
It's
ability,
time, yeah.
like I would get so much done, or I would like achieve such great things. But I think some of that drive also comes from like being like, I don't, like I deserve better, or like I don't feel like there's something to improve. Like seeing something to improve from your current situation, that's when you're like, all right, I think I can start making moves to go into a better place, whether that be like socially or financially or whatever. But if you kind of have all those like bare necessities met, or if you just, I don't know, like that, maybe I'm just like coping with how I am, but that's kind of like, I'm like, I have my friends, I have my lifestyle, my stuff's here, like I think I'm good.
Yeah,
But if
that's
there
great
was,
though.
I feel like if there was maybe some kind of like catastrophic event that forced me to like leave, or I got fired or something crazy, then I would be like, all right, like putting putting my armor on and like going out there and like doing what I can. So there's there's a bit of like a fantasy in being tested in that way, or being put in the position where you have to go out and like fend for yourself. But
Yeah.
also when it's comfortable, it's kind of that's when you can, in some ways, or at least for myself, I'm comfortable, so I'm able to do more, to exert my energy in other places. So like
Yeah. Yeah.
like having a stable day job, bills paid, financial needs met, I gives me the ability to follow passion projects or work with friends or collaborate or create resources and assets and like give them out for free, not even try to sell them. So that's kind of like another that's my way of kind of like challenging myself, or putting that, bringing that energy into my life. If I'm not going to go put myself in those situations, I can at least like cultivate it here. And
Yeah.
maybe in the future, 5-10 years from now, something will happen. I'll cross some bridge, or I'll take a risk or something, who knows. But I feel like it's a little bit easier for me to do it from like a safe place first, to kind of like dip my toe into certain things and kind of try this, try that, like change my style up a little bit, but then like go back to base. Or yeah, and I don't know, maybe it'll
Yeah,
happen
I
for me in
mean,
the future.
you're putting yourself out there in this way too, and like having, somewhat vulnerable conversations in a public forum, that's not nothing,
Yeah.
and like I've moved around a lot in my life, and I moved around a lot when I was little too, so that kind of
Mm,
like it was already like a natural rhythm, I think, for me.
that makes sense. Yeah.
And I definitely had something to prove, like I've always put myself against like the top people that I could find.
Oh my
So
God.
like,
Sounds
and I
exhausting
still
a
I
little bit.
still do that. I think I'm a lot more comfortable with my like abilities and my just like who feel like I am as a person now.
Mm,
But yeah, for a long time I was like just gunning, for like the top like 3% or whatever.
interesting.
And like yeah, it's not the same for everybody, and I think um I don't know, like some of it was calculated risk, and some of it was what was really like fascinating at the time,
Yeah.
like um I like trying stuff, and like being super into like VR when it started to really bubble up again, I guess. But
Yeah.
and then I ended up at like Oculus for a while,
Interesting.
and I worked for a VR gaming place for a while, and but then I ended up back into movies because that was really like the place where I wanted to be. Um, but I'm just interested in a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
and I think if like art can give me the access into those worlds,
Yeah.
then I'll like do the work to get there,
Yeah.
like the
That's
goal was
good.
always to like make my own stuff.
Mm,
And so to have like the day job or the craft that makes money, facilitate that, and then like the closer I could bring those two together,
yeah.
like closer and closer and closer, the more like I felt like I was kind of like getting towards that goal that I wanted. And the goals get bigger and bigger and bigger, right?
Yeah, they
Like
do.
they
Oh
go
yeah.
from like a 1 month to 6 months to like 1 year
Yeah.
to 5 years to 10 years, right?
Yeah, the
Like,
scope.
yeah. So um, I'm kind of like hitting that like 5-10 year goal thing now. Um,
Wow.
and that's what I really liked about your conversation with Ben, and also just like watching Ben for a long time too.
Yeah.
Um, it's nice to see him succeed in such a way, and like the time that it took to get there,
Yeah.
it just kind of validates that like that kind of fear that you have that you're spinning or you're not like
Yeah.
gonna make it or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like it's that stuff doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's all about just like staying like in the moment and
Yeah.
moving one step at a time towards like the thing that you want to do. Like,
Yeah.
might as well, you know?
Yeah. There's a lot there, man. That was like a bunch of different moments where I'm like, oh, I want to ask about that and that. But the thing
Sorry,
specific,
I'm a rambler for
no,
sure.
no,
Like,
no, you're good. This is doing these has been really good for me to like, because I also get like, oh, excited and like, a little ADHD'd out about like art and all things art related.
just stop me anytime.
Uh, I know I would hate to do that. The thing you kind of ended with like the fear of like that you're just spinning and not getting anywhere, that is super real. But the one thing that has helped me kind of understand that fear is when there's often moments where you're just like working or you're doing your thing and you're like, is this actually like is this helping me, is this making me better or technically better or whatever, am I getting any closer to that job or that position or
Right.
that studio that I want to work at, like, and the fear is like no, and then but that doesn't invalidate what you're doing. You should keep doing what you're doing. There's this other aspect which is like I've over the past, like every year at the beginning of every year, I'm like, man, like it would be so cool for this to happen or for this to happen, this opportunity, or for me to actually, finally start this project or finally take this step, and or put myself out there in this way. And I always think that, and then I kind of forget that I want that as the year goes on because I'm like in the weeds with like the everyday thing,
Of
and
course.
then it happens. It just kind of happens without me forcing it to happen, or the opportunity just presents itself, and then I take that opportunity, but I don't even realize that that was the opportunity that I wanted at the beginning of the year. And then once it happens at the end of the year, and you can put this onto any span of time, you look back and you're like, whoa, I like did that thing that I really wanted to do. Like when you reflect back on the year, you're like, was there anything that I wanted to do this past year that I didn't do? And like if you really like think about it, it's like, no, I kind of did get to do everything I wanted to do, whether it was like an emotional thing or like a mental thing or an art thing or a technical thing. You kind of in some small way hit your goals when you don't try to hit them, and you instead just kind of let like the energy of the universe kind of, you just keep
Yeah,
doing your
you're a
thing.
great receiver. Yeah, exactly. Like, and being open to those kind of things coming into your, you know, into your life, I think there's something to that, you know? And also, people sense that in your work too when you're tapping into something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's just, it's the thing that I think artists strived for and feed off of,
Yeah. It
in a big way.
so basically the fear of like waddling and like not getting anywhere, the way I try to like communicate that to myself and to other people that may be worried about that fear is like, um it's like not real. Like it's a real feeling that you have, but if you just don't, like if you just kind of feel it and like let that feeling kind of go away and then just keep doing your thing, like you could be doing a drawing and then you're like in the middle of it, you're like, am I regressing? Like, am I going anywhere with this? Like, what should I keep working on this? It's like a weird like insecurity that pops up in the middle, like a check engine light, and then you're like, I'm good. I'm gonna just keep doing my thing. If you just kind of like, oh yeah, that's a valid feeling. I'm gonna go back to drawing, and then you finish, and then you go on with your life. Um, just your life will just work out in a way where it's like, yeah, you were kind of, if you weren't progressing in the specific way you wanted to, but you progressed in some type of way, and opportunities come up, people recognize you, and like things happen. So it's fine. Like that is a real feeling to have, but it's don't you shouldn't let that like completely stop you from just doing your thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that fear creeping in is of like, am I doing it wrong, or is this like helpful? A lot of that is, you know, that fear of failing or being behind, or you know, like I definitely dealt with a lot of like feeling like I was behind for a really long time, like, and
Mm.
that, like, I kind of went through life in this aspect or under this idea that I was like a decade behind where I was supposed to be.
When did that stop for
And
you?
um, I want to say when I started achieving certain goals and like uh I don't know, it just kind of melted away, I think.
Cool.
The more I sort of became comfortable with my own goals, and it's funny because the goals get larger and the time span to achieve them becomes larger, and so you would want nothing more than to have that 10 years again. And like,
Mm-mm.
because like I think, there was a period of my life where, like, just briefly, like I went to school right out of high school to be like a 3D artist.
Oh, cool.
So I was on like SGIs and working with like Softimage and doing 3D animation, and like I had never used Photoshop before, and like it was like,
You went to an art college?
yeah, it was a very tiny art college, in on the West Coast in, the Northwest, Pacific Northwest. And I came out of there, to be like a 3D animator. Like I was gonna go work at like ImageWorks or like
Cool.
one of those places.
Mm-hmm.
And then I spent like the next 10 years kind of like being a musician and like
Nice.
bouncing around, like ended up like kind of just floating, and experiencing a lot of things, and living, but always in the back of my mind having this like this art, this love for technology and this love
Interesting.
for art, um, never really goes away,
You said there was 10 years of you like doing art and floating and not make, I mean, doing music and not
Yeah,
doing
because that
art.
was like early 20s. I came out of college like 2021.
What bounced you from being a 3D artist and wanting to be a 3D artist in college into music and not into 3D art?
I think I just started like making music a lot,
Yeah,
and
cool.
it was really intoxicating. And then I started like I come from like kind of like a metal punk rock background,
Nice.
and I discovered like warehouse parties and like
Oh,
electronic music
shit.
and stuff. And so I got like super deep in that world.
That's awesome.
And just, I still love a lot of that kind of stuff, but um I think once I kind of like worked through that time in my life and got on a trajectory that was like, I started my first like industry job was at like a Game Boy Advanced place, like pushing pixels,
Wait, what does that
and
mean?
like doing pixel art, like
Oh,
for a
cool.
GBA game, like,
That's
yeah,
really cool. Was it like
yeah.
just in Photoshop?
No, it was this like proprietary pixel tool that they had.
Oh,
Like it was, I don't know, I don't remember what it's called.
that's really cool. So you went from 3D all the way back to pixel art to the
Yeah,
origins
yeah,
of
yeah.
art.
Yeah, and then I went to like, then I worked in interactive web, like, and but I was doing 3D the whole time, so I kind of was with 3D, and I did a full circle. But anyway, the whole 10 years of like bouncing around and like being kind of shithead and doing like, living,
Hmm.
like I kind of used to look at that part of my life like, man, like if I had only come out of school like super gung ho and like gone to, you know, gone down to California right away, and I could be like working with like Dylan Cole or like one of those people, you know what I
Doing
mean?
some
Because those
Avatar
guys were
stuff.
all doing that at that same time, and like
Yeah.
they were done. But I had no idea of that world. I didn't understand any of it, and I had no visibility into any of that stuff because it wasn't like real life. It was like a fantasy thing that happened to other people that lived in LA or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't regret any of it now.
No, dude, I think that honestly makes you way cooler that you didn't do that. Like, I think it's almost like punk rock, to finish college and be like, I'm not gonna do 3D. I'm gonna get into EDM. Like, fuck that.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna be kind of a vagabond, and then just do that. Because that's honestly, I remember you mentioning either in one of your streams or in one of your other interviews with with Learn Squared or something that you did music, and that to me is actually very interesting because there is a lot of people just through knowing them, artists, specifically digital artists, that also like are almost equally as much into producing music. And I don't know what that is. I feel like that should be studied, like why so many digital creators are also into creating music.
Yeah.
And the music usually kind of lines up with the type of art that they make. Like it's almost like I mean, I'm saying we because I also made music in college. I
Oh,
had
nice.
like I had I downloaded FL Studio or something like that, like on
Yeah,
my
sick.
on
Yeah,
my like
great.
MacBook or whatever the hell I
That's
had,
so fun.
and it was definitely like ripped from somewhere. And I just made music and I uploaded it, and we would play it for friends. Like a friend of mine would always make music, and we'd just share it amongst each other, or we'd
Yeah,
make
yeah,
music like thematically to something or to an idea we had. And
yeah.
now I'm still really, really big into music. I love listening to it. And like I've heard you mention like industrial and drum and bass and all these genres. I'm like, dude, same here. I love all that stuff. And I
Awesome.
still super listen to that.
Yeah, me
And
too.
that, like, I may not produce it anymore. And I'm kind of glad because it became like really hard. I was like, I don't actually know what I'm doing here. I don't actually have music theory. Like, I don't understand like sine waves and I don't know what these are. Uh,
Yeah, engineering is a different thing than the art.
Eventually that catches up with the music though. Like you'll be doing music for fun and then you're like, oh, I'm not an engineer. I don't know how to master. I'm
Yeah.
good. This isn't fun anymore. This is like becoming work. um
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I
dude,
mean
yeah.
some of that's true. I think like um like once records started coming out and stuff, it got a little less fun, honestly, and then I was
Yeah.
kind of out of it, and I was kind of done. But yeah, it's there's no point in like living with the regret of doing one thing or the other. Like, um, I think that's a thing that we deal with a lot now is just like we were saying in the beginning, like the performative thing and having to like put stuff on socials and like feel like the audience controls the like pen versus the other, like you kind of like expressing yourself and then people take an interest in that because it's authentic,
Yeah.
and then you kind of like, you know, reacting to that and being like, oh, thank you, or
Hmm.
oh, that's a like a human expression coming back to you, and then that feeds into your art again, and that cycle repeats.
Yeah. Oh
Instead it
yeah.
becomes this like thing where you're like feeding the beast over here that
Oh
like
yeah.
needs to like consume your art all the time.
Hmm.
And yeah, like it's kind of it's easy to get wrapped into
Yeah.
that like inverse like thing. It sucks, dude.
It
And
super
I think
sucks.
part of doing this kind of thing for me is trying to find other ways to connect with people
Mm.
outside of like a like or
Yeah.
you know. But I mean, I've actually had a lot of positive interactions on Instagram
That's
and
good.
on just social in general.
That's
Like
good.
for me, the art community has been really good there,
Yeah.
and um, I've made connections with people. I've gotten like jobs, and I've gotten,
Cool.
you know, opportunities from it. Um, and so I don't think it's like a negative
Yeah.
thing, but I do think it's like I do kind of resent it a little bit.
For sure.
The fact that it's like the only place that we can like talk about art and
Yeah.
share art and like I miss like forums. I know I sound ancient when I say
No, no,
forums, but
dude.
like
Forums, Discord
I
is the new
miss that stuff.
forums.
Like
I think the communities are still there. They just found different places to kind of congregate, whether that be like
yep,
subreddits or whatever, or Discord servers, or Twitch, or wherever, YouTube, people in the comment section, like games, gaming. A lot of times there's like people just, they never see face to face. They just chat or text chat like over games. Yeah, that stuff is just evolved into like where to find that stuff. Um, yeah, but
yeah,
it is good to have that. And like it is, once you find a really good group, even if it's a few people, you feel so much more like supported, and you feel like you can be yourself and you can share your stuff, and everyone's kind of creating together. It's super cool. I can see that as also being the appeal of like getting into a studio and being there. Like I think one of the hardest parts about like leaving a job sometimes is the people. And you're like, man, like, I'm over it, but like the people here are like some of the best people I've ever met. And if you're lucky,
Yeah,
you can stay
100%.
with them, stay connected. But it's
Yeah,
definitely harder.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a big lesson for me is like chasing the work and chasing the clout is one thing, but like eventually it just becomes about relationships and it becomes about people,
Yeah.
and you tend to find that at least in like my like little like little corner of the industry, that the same people will like hit you up over and over again, and then like uh, you sort of gravitate towards people that are good people and are easy to work with and are like-minded.
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody likes, you can have a super dope designer or whatever, but if they're like an arrogant
Yeah.
like person,
If they're shitty.
nobody's gonna want to work with you, you know? Like
Yeah.
whatever. I don't give a shit how good your stuff is. Like
Yep.
I don't want to deal with your drama or
Yep.
your toxic, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And and there's lots of people that think like that, most people think like that, and most
Yeah.
people are good, like, hardworking people.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was gonna say was like, leaving a place because there's good people there, that's one thing, but like those people also go off and do other things,
Yeah.
and they will think of you when they do those things, and that stuff like comes back to you,
Yeah.
so like for me, after a while, it was always about going to where those people were,
Mm-hmm.
and like sometimes you want to really vibe with somebody because you really admire them, and then it's like, yeah, it was okay, like
Yeah.
we're like okay, we're like associated, or like we're friendly, and
Mm-hmm.
then other times you accidentally meet like the person that you're
Some
going to
of the
be
coolest people. Yeah.
friends with for 20 plus years or
Yeah.
whatever.
I love meeting people
Yeah,
like in the most. I've gone to. There was an art conference I used to go to every year while I was in college. It was like in Pennsylvania, and it
nice.
was just like a small fantasy. Not a small, I guess. It was a like anyone I mention it to, they like don't know about it. But I think it also because the artwork that got shown there was a lot of like Magic the Gathering style artists would like show their
Sure.
work there. So it was a lot of like
Yeah,
book
like a
cover
concept
illustrators.
album.
Yeah, like painters, oil painters like Donato Giancola, like all these like fantasy painters who are like super well known
Yeah,
in like
yeah,
the
yeah,
painting world. But
yeah.
I went there and I used to go there just for college, just with my portfolio, get a portfolio review, get something, buy some prints, meet some people. And there was a guy there that I met. There was two people that I've met who I'm still friends with to this day. One was like he was making like digital paintings and he had scrapped enough money to get like half of a table with another artist, and he was, I don't know, it just had like Destiny style artwork, and I was like, this is cool. Like it's like sacred geometry. I'm like, this is awesome. Like I like seeing this. And he gave me like a free poster that was like printed on like newsprint or something because he was giving them out,
Sure.
and I had it hanging in my room until it started to like just crumble and deteriorate. And then I reached out to him. I was like, "Hey, can I get another one?" Because it was awesome. But him and I like hit it off, and we just were the same type of person. Like in college, we're kind of lost, didn't really know what to do, why we were here. Like you know what I mean? Felt
Yeah.
super like overwhelmed by the amount of talent here, and I think through that we just met and stayed in touch and found out we had other things in common. I'm still friends with this guy to this day. Another artist, similar situation, but like, that's a place where you would think you would go and meet, like, become friends with like your favorite artist who's like this master, and like, can I apprentice with you or something? And then they're just kind of like, maybe they're just not interested in you, or they're not there to like make connect, like network in that way. They just want to like
Yeah.
sell their stuff and get out, which I get.
Yeah.
These people are like, they have families and stuff, but I'm like this like
Yeah.
college kid. And then ironically, I just end up becoming friends with not those people, but with just like other like people who are there, like don't know why they're there, and you
Yeah.
just bond over that. It's a much
It
stronger
is nice
bond.
when those line up though, like when you really admire someone's work, or they're just like their ethics and their energy, and then you do meet them and they actually are like live up to the hype,
Hmm.
and you also find that you're very like-minded. that does happen, and that's really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, stories that we tell ourselves, I think, about who we are and who other people are, are very different from reality most of the time.
Yeah.
Like how we're perceived, perhaps, and like how we think other people are going to be like.
Yeah. Um,
Uh,
this is kind of a little bit going back, but I just have to know what kind of music did you make when you were making it?
uh, Originally, I was doing like really kind of like when I first started, I was super into industrial, so I was doing kind of very down tempo, like kind of like very synth, like sample
Mm,
based stuff.
okay. Cool.
Then I got really into drum and bass, and I made drum and bass for a
Nice.
while. And then I did a lot of dubstep when that first came
All
along
right,
in the
there we go.
States
Yeah,
as
it's like the
well. It
natural.
was like there was this weird metal. There was in at least in the States there was this weird like cross section of
Yep.
people who liked metal and punk
Yeah.
and dubstep for whatever reason,
Oh yeah, for sure.
and that like really took off.
Do you still have any of that
And
music? Like, does that exist?
I
I
think
am gonna
so.
ask you to
Yeah.
send me some because I want to hear. I'm not gonna play for anyone, but I want to hear it for
Yeah. Yeah.
myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I listen to it every now and then. I'm just like, but
Ah,
you
maybe it's
know.
too soon. It's too soon.
Yeah, it just feels like a lifetime ago. I mean, it was many lifetimes ago. And then before that, I played in like bands and stuff. I played
Dude,
bass
that's
for a long
awesome.
time. But none of those, ever went anywhere. It was all just like, playing in bands and like you end up in um, strange places. But like
That's cool.
I used to have a live PA. Like I would drag drum machines and stuff to
Wow.
warehouse parties and do drum and bass and
That's
strange
awesome.
other
That's so
things.
sick.
Because I had this idea that I was going to be this like one man band
Yeah.
person,
I mean, you kind of see that
and all
now.
my friends were DJs, and I just never had that much interest in records. I just wanted to like I always liked technology,
Yeah.
and that's I think why I got into art too, because I always liked to draw, but I also like grew up with computers,
Yeah.
and that's why I got into 3D in the first place, because it was like computers and art,
Yeah.
and there was this like science and art thing
Yeah.
happening, and that's still the case today. I'm like, that's why I don't ever mind learning like a new piece of software or
Mm.
having to like build a new PC or
Yeah, yeah.
whatever.
That's
Like,
fun.
I don't build my own PCs now because I'd rather pay someone to do
They
a,
need like
a
four
good one for me.
GPUs.
But like, yeah, but I still enjoy the tech part of it,
I
and
think
so I think that like shows up in everything.
Yeah, the honestly, you say that, but I think what doing the kind of music you wanted to is like more possible now than ever before. Because right now everything is electronic. You see people like
Yeah,
Amon Tobin and all these like odd
I love
guys.
Amon, dude. I've seen him
Yeah,
a million times.
that's awesome. So like there's probably videos of him making music, and it's like, what is he even using to make that? Those aren't like vinyls. They're just like these crazy controllers and stuff. So now's your time,
Yeah.
dude. Now it's time to like bust out the headphones.
Yeah, I try, and like I have a couple of good friends that are like super sick audio engineer, sound designer guys, and they help me with all my short films, and
Oh, cool.
we're really we're good friends, and I so admire what they do, and every time they're just like, are you making music? Are you doing stuff? And
Oh,
I'm just
dude, they
like,
want to engineer it with you.
sometimes I'll like open it and then I'll be like, nah, I have these other 10 things I want to do.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of, for me, it feels like, I don't really play video games very much, but for me, it's like, I really enjoy what I do, and I'd rather spend that time like building something or working on something. Like, I'm an obsessive person to a fault, like I'll get super deep into a thing and that's all I care about.
Mm.
And I've had to like manage that so that like my relationships don't fall apart, you know what I
That's
mean? Like
hilarious. Yeah.
as I get older, like you can run like that for a while when you're single, but
Oh,
when
for
you have
sure.
other people in your life, you can't. Or you have like people in your life that understand your personality and understand like that it's a big part of your life. But for some reason I feel like music's kind of fallen into that same bucket
That's
where
fair.
like I want to just enjoy it. Like
Yep.
I love gaming art, and I love watching, actually like watching people stream and play and stuff.
Cool.
Like I'll watch hours of someone playing like Last of Us or whatever, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Or but I don't really need to sit down and play it.
Yep.
And I know that I'm missing out on the gaming
Mm-hmm.
part of the experience. I
Mm-hmm.
know that. And I know that I can't recreate that by watching
Mm-hmm.
someone playing YouTube. And that's how music is for me too. Like
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
good.
I don't really need to be in that because I think if I started doing music, I would ignore my other art
Oh, that
and I would just start
definitely.
making music,
Yeah.
and then that would be it.
Yeah, definitely. I think
And
I'm the same way. I love listening to music, and now I just it's fuel. Like it will fuel me to get up and go make something. I definitely get ideas to like, oh, it'd be fun to make this thing. But music now is like so diverse. There's so many genres and
yeah,
subgenres that it's pretty easy to be like, what if there was this kind of sound? And then you're like, wait a
yeah,
second, I guess I'm just now into this new genre that I found. So that
yeah.
ends up kind of scratching that itch is finding a new
You did
genre.
that gunship thing too, right? Like,
Oh yeah, but I didn't make the music. I just made the visuals
no,
for it. Yeah,
no, I know. I know of a gunship. I don't know their music, but
that's cool. I
yeah, I
work.
like synthwave stuff too. It's kind of fun.
There was a. This is just a small anecdote, but or a small anecdote. But there's an artist named Pilot who makes like synthwave
Yeah, I know
music.
Pilot.
Up until I guess recent, maybe like a couple years ago, I stopped or we stopped working together. But I helped him make all the artwork, like all the album artwork to the music videos and stuff. And so we worked together on that, and that was really fun because I kind of got in on
Oh,
like the ground level. So
oh, that's cool. I've definitely seen some of your stuff then for that because I've listened to his music for sure.
it's yeah, it's amazing, and watching him kind of develop it and grow as like a person, as a producer, as an artist, and like change his ideas change. And the for a while it was like very much about like being anonymous and wearing like, the character had like a helmet on. You'd never, it was like a Daft Punk kind of thing.
Yeah, some people can really pull that off. Like, I think Mavs Makeup and Vanity Set was doing that for a long time, and then there's this guy Danger that does that
Oh
too.
yeah, yeah, with like the eyes, the glowing eyes.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, Danger's
Um,
artwork is so sick too. Are there artists that you've gotten to like work with that you were like a huge fan of?
um, I don't really do music stuff that much.
Oh,
I
interesting.
kind of started going down that route for like a hot minute, but I never got into concert visuals or anything like that. It's a different type of craft, and I haven't really had the chance to work with any musicians in that capacity. I'm mostly focused on feature like films and
Films.
games and shows and stuff these days.
Yeah.
And so for me, getting to work on those like big IPs was really fun.
Yeah. That was like your
And
thing.
yeah, and it
Yeah.
was just like a life goal to to kind of see my name and credits, and like to see like one of my shots pop up, and then also having like that gut wrenching moment where
Yeah.
like you're like, here comes my shot, and then realizing it was cut
Jesus.
from the final edit,
That would
like
make me lose all hope in
that,
the industry.
which happens, like totally happened. I was like, oh, here it comes. Oh no, that wasn't.
I guess you sit there and you just be like, at least I got paid. That's like the
Yeah, yeah,
at least
yeah.
you got your money for it. I think there's definitely a lot of artists that I grew up with that were like, I'm gonna move to LA and I'm gonna get my credits in like a Marvel movie or whatever. And then they
Sure.
do, and then they like take a picture of it, post it to their story, put like a red circle around their name, and then it's kind of like, nice, you did it.
Yeah,
Now
I mean
what?
it's an
Like,
achievement. I mean, so many people. I really didn't understand the amount of people that are involved in
oh
making
yeah, like
a
multiple
single movie
studios.
come to life. And I mean, there's vendors, there's freelancers, there's like all these people behind the scenes, there's all these, and it's like, it's magic that it actually happens and comes together, and then it's even more like miraculous when it's good,
Yeah,
so
yeah. When the movie doesn't
um
flop.
yeah, I think I really enjoy that sort of like environment.
Hmm.
And I also think I found some of my people in that space, and it was like for whatever reason, doing the UI stuff
Mm.
felt like a very natural way to sort of contribute.
Yeah, dude.
And because I came from this design, like interactive, like I kind of understood how things should move and how things should work, and it just felt like really natural. And um, I was already very much like admiring the few people that were doing it at the
Mm.
time, and it was like my foot in the door,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
here's my thing. Because like in that industry, it's like you need to have the thing that you can like contribute to. It's
Yeah.
not about like your moment to shine. It's like, how do you move the story forward? How do you execute on the vision of the entire thing? Like, either the director really cares about this moment that you're making,
Yeah.
or it's like a piece of like window dressing that allows the other thing in front of it to shine.
Yeah.
Those kind of things. Like, it's all part of the same like
Yeah.
pie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think working on stuff like that is, there's like moments where you get lucky and you get like a big hero shot and it's just like amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And other times it's like kind of stuff that's just kind of like there and gone.
Yeah.
Or
Or it gets like they add a
you know,
bunch of crap on top of it that you don't even get to see it that much.
yeah, or it just kind of disappears, or it gets cut completely. um
You'll never let that go.
I'm not bitter, dude. I'm not bitter. um
You have like the
but
timestamp which movie it was, like you have that saved.
but yeah, a lot of times too, it's like I'll take for example, like during COVID, I was working on a lot of those Disney Plus shows, like a lot of those Marvel shows I was on,
Oh, cool.
and I got to contribute to a lot of them. And
Are you able to say like
I'm
which
really,
ones? Just like so I can go and
yeah, yeah,
find
yeah.
them and look at them.
The Winter Soldier, Falcon Winter Soldier.
So I'm gonna go back and pause and be like, I know I talked to the guy who made those graphics.
Like WandaVision, Loki, Hawkeye, and yeah, and some of them I was like really involved, and some of them I just had like minor things for.
And was it always
But
the UI UX graphics that you were doing?
yeah, like as like for the Falcon, I did a lot of his, like I redesigned his whole HUD and
Oh, dude.
and a lot of his like gadgets and stuff. And
Wow.
I mean, it was through a studio, but like I got to own a lot of it, and I'm really proud of that work.
That's awesome.
What I do after the fact is like I'll take that work and I'll present it in another way. And then after that, I did some stuff for the I think it's the first season of Love, Death, and Robots.
Oh yeah, I saw that on your
And that
website.
piece I'm really proud of too. And it's just like it lives on the screen, and it lives in the way that it was meant for the show or the whatever. But you can also like kind of reappropriate it and like present it for yourself. Like I've always been like super into having my own little corner on the internet,
Okay.
having my website, having my like case studies and my things. Like, that's my way of like showing it in a way that isn't really just like on Instagram or
Yeah.
whatever.
Your website is
And
rad, by the
so,
way.
oh, thanks,
Yeah, I
thanks.
love it.
I mean, I spend a lot of time on it. Like,
The
it's really
sliding thing
important
is
to me.
like so sick.
Oh, I mean, that's part of the like,
But I love that.
that's a feature of the Semplice thing that I
Uh,
use. But like, I like building those
yeah.
moments. And I'm a fan. I do the same thing. I look at other people's sites and like, but
I'm getting a website built right now, so I might steal that sliding feature. Just to let you
oh
know,
yeah, you should use it.
because I can't. That's like such a brilliant and elegant way of like showing 3D work, showing like the wireframe and the final. Like it's so
Yeah,
hard to
yeah,
show
yeah, yeah.
3D work usually, but yeah, that's
You
brilliant.
should use Semplice, dude. Shout out to Semplice. That's a really good little
Is that?
platform
Oh,
for.
okay. So it's like you build your own website through that.
Yeah, it's like a WYSIWYG. Like, it runs on WordPress. It's super good for portfolios. I've been
Cool.
using it for a long time.
Dude, I did have a question about the UI stuff. Like
Sure.
you did 3D, then you had a music stint for 10 years. still that fire is still going. I know it's like a little blue, it's like a pilot flame, it's still there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then it's like you're doing UI in 3D, which is still that 3D like component coming through. The principles are there. I can understand on like an industry and on an industry level of like, hey, there's all these like there's a million people who want to be concept artists. There's a million people who want to be 3D artists. There's like probably a quarter amount of people who are like there to do UI. So that gamut is much more broader and like there's way more way to get into doing a movie or a show as a UI designer than it is as like a concept artist. How did you get into UI and then turn that into like your career from doing
Yeah,
music in 3D? Like that's such an interesting pivot.
yeah. I think there was a genuine interest in it. When I first started doing it, it was a really new discipline. Like if you go back to even uh like early 2000s like movies, like the UI stuff is just like really really bad, or
Like
it's
Minority
not bad,
Report
but
kind
it's
of.
like it's not it doesn't have the same level of like craft that it started. And then there was people like Mark Colleran who sadly passed away not that long ago, and others that were doing like really like beautifully graphic design, like kind of um, minded things within the structure of a feature. And
Like human centered kind of.
um, so they were elevating the art like from within. And I think I really loved seeing that. It was like motion graphics was already a big deal uh, on the web, and like and as an art form was growing as well, but also was quite young. And so it all was kind of happening at the same time. Um, and for me, I was working at a small boutique in LA, and we did
What is a boutique?
uh,
Just like for
like
non.
a it's like an agency, like a small studio,
So they kind of just take
basically.
like odd jobs, like kind of like a small freelance place.
Yeah, I mean they were a pretty solid shop. They were in like Stockholm and LA and New York, but like
Gotcha.
the place that was in was like it was pretty small.
Mm.
The office. Anyway, we did like the campaign for the first Avengers,
Oh,
right?
nice.
So the first Avengers comes out, and we did this like huge interactive campaign, which
Oh,
had like a site that you go to and you like recruit an Avenger, and like had all this like tons of like little files and folders. And I created this whole desktop thing, and like it was all like kind of like this interactive experience that you
it's
log
like a
into.
oh like a promotional campaign that's like also like an
Yeah,
outreach thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was when like people still cared about websites,
Yeah.
uh, and I did like tons of like these like UI things for it, and it just came like just kind of fell out of me. And I was really into it, and I started kind of thinking about it in a different way of like seeing other people being really successful, or having these like examples of people doing it really well within movies, because I really wanted to get my foot in the door and work on movies. But I was like, oh, I'm not really a concept artist. I'm not a VFX artist. Um, where do I fit in? Like, I want to make art for movies.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this discipline that came out of, I don't know, just like technology and like an evolution of screens and what audiences were looking for.
Mm-hmm.
More science fiction was being made, and then like things like like really like big milestones like um Joseph Kosinski's like Tron,
Tron
and
was amazing.
um what's the other one, Oblivion,
Oh yeah, that
like
had really cool.
Gmonk coming out of like years of crushing it on the interactive side, and then doing these amazing things on features, really like raised the bar for so many so many people.
But when you saw that and you recognized like, oh, this was made by G Monk, who's like this industry titan, or like these other designers that you're like that you were probably thinking like they're amazing, did you think like, oh yeah, I could get that too, or were you like, I'm gonna try because I don't really know any other way to get in, like you just
Yeah, I
shot your
mean, again,
shot
those
kind
are
of
the
thing?
kind of people that I've always had like up here, like, okay, I'll aim for that, you know. And it was just about like keeping trying. I think the first thing that I did was I worked on well, it was really like I turned to personal projects,
Mm-hmm.
and I made personal projects that broadcasted like, here's what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did one, and it kind of blew up, and I got a bunch of um, attention for it.
That's good.
And I ended up getting like some gigs, like uh, I think I worked on like a Terminator feature, and
Yeah, I
then
saw
I worked
that.
on this big feature with this other friend of mine, where I did a ton of screens like throughout the whole movie. And then eventually the kind of Marvel stuff started happening, and
Mm-hmm.
I got in with a really great studio, Cantina.
Yeah,
um,
I've
and
seen
they're
you work with
amazing.
them a lot.
They're such amazing people.
Yeah.
They're just like a wonderful group of people that do exceptional work, and they gave me a shot, and we really just had a really nice working relationship. Still do to this day, and so it was kind of like a slow roll, but then it became something that I became really passionate about,
Mm-hmm.
and I still am. I think um, it was a nice cross section again of technology and art, in the sense that I like thinking about how things are made
Mm-hmm.
and how things kind of fit together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think structuring a design with how it's supposed to move and
Yeah.
how it's supposed to unfold and tell a story
Mm.
isn't always how people build stuff.
Yeah.
But to me, it just like kind of makes sense. Um, so I really enjoy that part of it as well. Like, and then you can kind of be more abstract with it. You can have a concept that has nothing to do with UI, and you can kind of make that the backbone of
Yeah.
the design. And you start thinking about like aquatic,
Yeah.
sea life, and like how does that translate into a holographic thing that somehow communicates the thing, like
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can get really it's really kind of endless. um
I saw that like on your website you had like the Aquaman stuff, and that was very interesting
yeah,
to
the
see.
Aquaman stuff was super fun.
Of like
Yeah,
you're describing like I had to make a HUD, like a sci-fi HUD for like Aquaman. Like you would never think those two things could combine, but like
yeah,
it was a challenge for you to
yeah,
make that not only make sense like logically, but also look
yeah,
good and
yeah.
feel satisfying and like it fits. I think like one of the things that I wonder is like, do you have UI UX experience on like academic sense? Like, would you do it for a website, or is it only like in a cinematic narrative sense? And then
I
maybe
used
like,
to,
yeah, okay,
right? Like that's the thing. I came up doing like web design and interactive design
so you do have that like,
for like a decade plus.
okay, so you have like the
um
academic
and
experience and knowledge of like good UI.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I used to care really a lot about, is that corner of button beveled at 4 pixels or 8 or whatever, and
Yeah.
the 1 pixel drop shadow, and like
Yes.
all that kind of stuff. And that, to me, again, that's like a lifetime ago. Like for me, I feel like I was really lucky. I was in that world when it was really exciting, and it was kind of before a lot of like standards. I think like the web standards kind
Hmm.
of like ruined websites for me, honestly, because I feel like obviously they all work together, they work better, and there's like, you know there's obviously other great things happening on the web still, but and it was just such a weird creative time. It felt like artists were using the internet and they weren't afraid to do
Wacky stuff.
weird things, and also clients were paying us
Yeah.
like good money to do those things for their products and for their brands and for their campaigns and stuff. So it was like a really exciting time to be making stuff on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and it also taught me everything that I learned about graphic design. I
Yeah.
learned from that
Yeah.
time in my life, because I came from like drawing and also doing 3D, but like I didn't come from like a hardcore graphic design background.
Yeah.
And then like UI taught me all about grids and the
Mm.
importance of like structure and typography and all that kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
which I never really even considered in that way before.
Dude,
And now we're like, it's really important.
yeah, I have a buddy of mine who is a UI designer, and it's I have friends that are also graphic designers, like traditional graphic designers, and they make logos and all these kinds of things. And
Yeah,
as somebody who doesn't have that skill, and has been forced in a position where I have to graphic design something or create some kind of UI thing. Like usually this will happen with freelance work because they're like, "Can you also make this version?" And then you're like, I don't really know what I'm doing here. I really am just like, I hope this looks cool. But watching somebody who's like, whose profession it is, that thing, that skill, is really to me like fascinating because they think almost on a totally different level. And then to pull that back to what you're doing, not only are you doing uh, subjectively something that's hard, like um, communicating like usability and like interface in a non like literal way. It's more abstract, like lines and like curves and colors and shapes and typography. But then you're also putting that into a 3D space, so like adding another dimension to it. So how do we
yeah,
make
sure.
this conform to like a cockpit or something?
Yeah,
And then also on top of that, like sometimes having to tell a story through things like sliding across the screen. um,
100%. Yeah,
all of that stuff is, and then if you do it really well, when in the movie you don't even notice it, it's just in the background. You're like, oh cool, like
exactly how it should
this is
be.
being
Yeah,
communicated, cool, like I don't really care about the bevels or whatever. um
yeah, yeah.
I am curious though, because you have that, like you have the academic knowledge of actually working on websites and applying it in a real world setting. How does that change for you, like when you compare doing UI UX design in a real world setting on a real website that's supposed to be clean, seamless, not overwhelming, versus then switching and doing it for cinematic, you know, cyberpunk settings? Like what difference do you notice between those two approaches?
I do think that well, my preference is definitely more in the latter, in the storytelling side of things. Like having been in some capacity at like product driven companies and in that world, like basically just like big tech.
Mm-hmm.
Um i uh i enjoyed all the free food, but I did not enjoy
The free coffee.
the design, like aspect of product design that much.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a certain type of discipline that if when you do it well, it's like you said, it's seamless and beautiful, and you don't even know that you're interacting with it, and there's all this like thinking behind it. There really is a lot of thinking behind good products, and people kind of are always quick to say like, oh, I would have done it this other way, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's been tested a million different ways. You
Yeah.
have no idea. I think I greatly prefer as an artist to work on something that is more story driven and has if it's chaotic, I think again it's about like what the audience is willing to accept. And I think if there's like some basis of reality and some basis like grounded reality or some form in there that lets the audience sort of imagine a structure or like a thing that actually makes it real in their mind,
Mm-hmm.
then you can kind of get crazy with it. You know, you can kind of create wonders through the presentation. And so I really like now also if I have the the time and the scope, um, like with the last group that I was with, um, at Parallel, I was doing a lot of like technology design along with the UI design. So I was thinking about like, what is this? If there's like this holographic, say, communication device,
Mm-hmm.
and it spits out all this stuff, how does it do that, and then why does it do that? What does that look like?
Mm.
And then what's the like energy source, and what's the alphabet look like,
Yeah.
and why did they use it, and what's the scope of like, um I designed this one where it was like an organic controller that had a, um, mechanical piece inside of it, and that organic piece could like fit to be like on your hand, or it could be on a backpack.
Yeah.
It could like crawl onto your face, and it was like a communication device that basically like lived all over the place. And so,
That's cool.
um, I think stuff like that, like expanding on why things work, and also that kind of reinforces like the reality part,
Yeah.
even though it's totally made up.
Yep.
The audience is like, cool, I
Yeah.
kind of get why that's doing that,
It's world
versus
building.
just like throwing shit at the screen and hoping that
Yeah.
it'll look
Yeah.
cool and people will buy it.
I feel like what I'm hearing you say is like when you're designing for a brand or for a product, it's more about like usability and accessibility and like getting the brand to be as seamlessly accessible as possible to the broader to their target audience. But when you're doing it for a movie, it's more about like world building and like storytelling. And so creating the good UI, even if it's like borderline industrial design, it's about like how do we communicate this abstract idea in a way that feels tangible and real and like increases the immersion that like the audience has to the product or to the story.
Yeah, yeah, and it's different for each thing. Like sometimes you get directors or a production that cares deeply about what those things should be, and maybe they're a big part of the story,
Mm-hmm.
so that they need to be very like complex and they need to have a lot of thinking behind them. And then other times there's just like, it's it's a thing that moves one part of the story to the next part of the story, and you sort of need to be there to like, what is the prop, like, oh, he's holding this, like that kind of thing. So, it's all, yeah, it's all kind of like very specific to the like the needs of the story, or
Yeah. So like what's interesting is on your website and like as you are now, the type of artist that you are now, you basically are like a UI UX designer like for cinema, for movies. But like on your personal YouTube channel, you have a lot of stuff that is not strictly that. It's like it's almost outside of that realm. I mean, it probably is
yeah,
probably
makes sense.
has like sprinkles and flavor and like juice of a UI and from design, but it definitely is like a lot more 3D, more storytelling. Even like your Ghosts short film, which is like a um I don't know if like reimagining is the best word or like a or like a
Attribute to, yeah, yeah,
continuation or like a yeah or like coming back into a world and like adding your own like version on top of it. That stuff is like 3D. It looks like you're using like cinema and like all these
yeah,
3D
100%.
tools and Photoshop and stuff. Um,
Yeah.
what's like is that just like another itch that you have outside of your like career that you like dabbling back into every once in a while?
Yeah, again, I think it's an interest in a lot of things, and I think the UI thing was always for me, it was like a very natural way to engage with, with feature films and with that industry.
Mm-hmm.
And then it became like a hyper focus because I wanted to reach certain like levels
Mm-hmm.
and achieve certain goals within that like industry as well.
Mm-hmm.
And And then but I've always enjoyed like doing my own stories and storyboarding stuff on the side and working on motion pieces and stuff on my own. And you know, going towards like directing shorts and things like that is also a goal of mine. And that's what I'm doing now, is like I
Cool.
work full time my own time on animated shorts.
Really?
I've got one right now that is done, but it's in being, you know, kind of worked on for the sound pass
Wait,
and audio pass and stuff like that.
wait a
So
second. So you've achieved that status that like every artist is like chasing after right now, which is like I can just do my own thing and like that can be my like, how does this work?
yeah, well, that's the thing is like, so my last gig, I worked for this company Parallel for like 3.5 years, and we were building this IP and building these games, and I started with doing like UI kind of technology design, and then eventually moved into cinematics. And so I spent like my latter part of working with them just jamming on cinematics the whole time.
Mm,
And uh first they were these like little short vignettes, and then became longer and more ambitious. um but I was also doing stuff on my own time, and I was building like the stuff for Learn Squared
oh yeah,
and
yeah.
doing other things. So I still like doing user interface and fictional user interface and all that kind of stuff. And a big part of that course is actually like using story and how that gives you like the base to create things from, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's all like kind of like one step after the other.
Yeah.
And the 3D shorts is stuff that I really enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm.
um, and it doesn't necessarily pay the bills, but it
Okay.
might lead to something else,
Yeah.
and that's fine,
Sure. Of
but
course.
I do a mix of things. I feel like I generally only put, like, I do a lot of things behind the scenes, and like the things that end up on my website or the things that I post
For
about
sure.
are generally things that like I just do on my own time.
Mm-hmm.
um, and that in turn kind of brings me a certain level of work back,
Okay.
like putting out there what I want to come back
For
for
sure.
me has always sort of been a pretty good strategy. um, but at some point, like, I'm just pursuing the things that I love doing.
So you're
And
doing the short films, but you're still freelancing. Like you'll still get a freelance
yeah,
gig,
I'm
and
still
it'll just
freelancing,
okay.
and I'm doing a mix of things when I freelance. Like sometimes I'll work on a game, sometimes I'll do like super blue sky, like early stuff. Sometimes a feature will come and I'll do like shots for film.
Mm-hmm.
Other times I'm doing like almost like concept art, basically, like thinking about like what tech would look like or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And then in between, I'm just working on shorts and
Personal stuff.
writing and doing tons of 3D. Like I'm in 3D land basically
Nice.
all the time. I've gotten super into animation.
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot more character animation these days, like um, you know, creature animation, like that kind of stuff. I've always been super into as well. Like for a
Yeah.
long time, I wanted to be like a creature designer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I like got that taught me ZBrush, right? So I got super into ZBrush and
Mm-hmm.
was like sculpting creatures, and that kind of stuff is paying off now. Like
That's
I
cool.
just like my last short has like some creatures in it and
Oh
stuff.
snap!
So
I can't wait to see
like
that.
yeah, it should be fun. It should be a really good one. I'll probably start with some ghost stuff.
Cool. When I saw that on your work, it made me think about how there's this like there's kind of a commonality, right, between artists that have a strong passion, I guess, for like old school Japanese anime, and then if they
Yeah.
have the ability to, will like pay an homage to it in some form or fashion.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yourself included, right? Like you're recreating those Akira shots, and
Yeah.
I'm on my reread right now, actually.
Did this thing for Ghost, was it just like you were like watching it and you're like, damn, this is sick. I want to do something with this. Did it start small?
So yeah, for Ghosts for sure. I mean, it's I saw it for the first time on MTV back in the day. I was
Whoa,
on
that's
something
cool.
called Liquid Television,
That sounds
and
awesome.
Liquid Television used to show like Aeon Flux,
Mm-hmm.
um, some old anime stuff. It was like an import company. They were called like Manga USA or something like that. It has like this flaming
Oh yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
icon.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Um, and so that was like, Ninja Scroll and Akira and lots of Kawajiri stuff, honestly. Wicked City, Demon City, Shinjuku, and then like Bubblegum Crisis and Fat
Yeah.
Labor, and all those kind of things.
Mm.
And then my friend was really into Guyver, so I saw the
Guyver is
Guyver film.
sick.
Yeah, Guyver's still really sick. I reference it all the time.
That would be a sick one to remake if they ever did
Yeah,
with
for sure.
nowadays technology.
So the Kawajiri piece in Neo Tokyo, the Running Man piece, I saw that really really early on, and way later on, I wanted to pay homage to it, and I feel like it was kind of an overlooked one that a
Mhm.
lot of people had some reference to, but like so many people think it's just like a music video for Lorne, like someone cut a
Oh
Lorne
yeah,
song to like,
there is one.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But
Mhm.
it's not like it's this amazing piece,
It's pretty. Yeah.
and Neo Tokyo itself too, like the whole compilation is an insane,
Mm-hmm.
beautiful thing. So anyway, the story, like I started it quite a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think I spent like 3 months on it, 3 or 4 months on it, just full time grinding.
Wow,
And
that's
I
not
hit
that
a,
much
I
time.
no, but I hit a
Very
point
quick.
where I kind of like it kind of fell apart, and I didn't have the skills to fully realize it. And
Mm.
so I set it aside, and then I moved. Um, I moved countries, and I did a bunch of other work, and then it was always in the back of my mind, and I ended up redoing the storyboards for it on vacation, um, like years later. Excuse me, and it was a completely different draft, totally different like way to tell the story, and I was just more. I had a much more mature idea of what I wanted to do,
Mm. Oh,
and my
interesting.
skill set was way more refined and all this. So I was actually really grateful for that pause and
Mm-hmm.
for the fact that like it took the time that it did for me to realize it. So yeah, I kind of came around, and I was using a bunch of new tools that helped me along the way, and so it was a totally different piece by the end. You
Hmm.
know, uh,
I just wanted to let you know your camera did do that thing, so you might want to flip it.
unbelievable. Yeah,
It's like dying or something, or maybe it's like
I'm
timing
gonna
out.
throw it in the trash. I wonder if I
Maybe
can
it's a
see that.
cable thing. Maybe like the
Yeah, it
cables.
could be.
Hmm.
Could be. Maybe.
I don't know what changed between last
Apologies.
time and today. I wonder if like I hope nothing. I don't know. It's a weird like it wasn't happening.
Yeah, I don't need. I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know. But yeah, just let me know, and I'll just turn it off and on.
Okay.
And sorry,
Yeah.
I know that's not optimal,
It's
but
okay. I feel sorry because I'll have to interrupt you like to let you know like cut in.
oh, it's all good. All
Okay.
good.
Um,
Yeah.
do you have
Should I just?
storyboards like that you could show? Do you have something like that? That'd be really cool to see that.
Yeah,
Honestly.
yeah, I do. So I did. Let's see. I did an animatic. Let me just start sharing, maybe. Oh my god,
Nice.
it's the most just disjointed call of all time.
You're good. We're getting into the swing of things.
Yeah. So Let me go ahead and share.
Can I ask a little bit about the like pre-production, even pre-production approach to something like this?
Well, it was a mix of getting references together, and sourcing references for this was actually kind of difficult because it's kind of a rare piece.
Yeah,
So, let's see.
I think on your site you had like
Yeah, I have some
images of
stuff, but
like
here,
original sketches and drawings and stuff that were made.
I'll just start sharing this. Obviously, frames from the original,
Mm-hmm.
and some of these were sourced from like
YouTube.
pretty low res
Mm-hmm.
like stuff. Like it's hard to find this particular piece like in any kind of high resolution.
Mm.
Um, but what I did find was this guy's blog that had these amazing.
Wow, dude, that's a
Um,
gold mine.
so these are all from
Holy
'86.
crap, dude!
And I mean, I love these, like they're tiny, they're not big,
Wow.
but I managed to find some depository of like original drawings
Mm-hmm.
and original sketches. And it worked out really well because I had to design, Zach, the guy,
Yeah.
the main driver, and this kind of stuff was really invaluable.
Mm-hmm. It's a good
Um,
concept art.
yeah, and stuff like this was
Mm-hmm.
really difficult to find in anything. There's no book, there's no art of,
Yeah, dude.
and his suit, for example, like
Mm-hmm.
this was super awesome to find
Mm-hmm.
because I ended up doing a lot of this in ZBrush, like
Mm-hmm.
his piloting gear and his belt and like all his pads and all that kind of stuff, and you can't really see that stuff in the anime,
Yep. Yeah, it's
so
dark.
it was yeah, it was really great to find. And
Wow.
this kind of stuff too, like having
Mm-hmm.
basically drawings of the helmet that I ended up very carefully following. So this was kind of the starting point, was to find this kind of reference, and this helped so much because I was able to kind of down here, these pieces down here, these different pieces of the cockpit,
Mm-hmm.
like they all line up to different pieces of the dash of
Yep.
the UI that I was doing as well in the
Hmm.
shot. So like, yeah, let's just go like
Whoa.
these, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
these
Mm-hmm.
dash pet, like this dash piece here.
Mm-hmm. Gauges
Um,
and stuff.
yeah, the gauges and stuff, like those all line up with that
Huh.
same same piece. I mean, these are like pulls from the short or from the
Yeah.
original anime too, like these. So I ended up doing these kind of like very true to what was happening
Hmm.
in the original anime. Yeah, so a lot of this kind of stuff.
Did finding this trove of like original sketches and like the details of all the like references, did that change your original scope? Did that like increase it? Did it impact it in any way?
Uh, it did because well, when I originally started the idea, it was just all about this sort of like initial the gauges and the dials and stuff. It was more about the cockpit than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when I came back around to the idea, it became more about Zach and the story and his like the psychic energy that's coming off of him, and his like his death and rebirth, and him chasing this ghost essentially of the other drivers, which
Mm-hmm.
are essentially his own like psychic energy kind of manifests
Yeah.
itself into this reverberation.
Mm-hmm.
So it became all about him rather than about the car so much, or about the
Mm-hmm.
track, or about the gauges and stuff. It was kind of before, it was kind of like, oh, isn't that cool?
Yep.
And the second time around, I was more interested in actually trying to tell a story. So it was, like I said, it was a lot more of a mature
Mm-hmm.
approach, and it was a lot more of a sort of a narratively driven approach.
Yeah. Like humanized.
Yeah, yeah. And then a bunch of the detective guy who's doing, some of the
Was
the
was
story, the narration.
was creating Zach? like basically figure sculpting and like doing like a bust sculpt, like was that the part of it that you were like was outside your wheelhouse? That
I want to say it was more like the character animation stuff. Yeah. Like facial animation,
mm,
having like a pipeline for that was a little bit of a mystery to me at the
right.
time when I was first starting. But I was using things like character creator,
Mm-hmm.
and by the time I got back around to it, it became a lot more like doable.
Mm-hmm.
I
And what
usually keep
was that
like
because like you kind of took a break, worked on some professional work, found opportunities in the professional work to like learn how to create characters and animate them, so then you could
yeah.
come back to this project? Okay.
Yeah, and it was also like I was much more capable of an artist in hard surface as well. So I ended up doing a lot of his cockpit stuff in Moy,
Mm,
where initially, I did a lot of this in ZBrush. This is the
yeah.
first pass. So this is doing everything in ZBrush, right?
Mm,
So I use like Z modeler, and I was doing Zach as himself in ZBrush as well,
mm,
and I was just trying to model everything in ZBrush. And so I ended up with these like super heavy
you're right.
exports, and it just wasn't like giving me the results that I wanted.
Mm,
Um, Even though like the frames looked okay, it doesn't have the energy of the final thing that I did, way later.
yeah.
Um,
I
and
mean,
like for example, this is like more of a finished frame, right? Like
yeah. Yeah, it looks really.
where it looks cool, and I
Mm,
these all the gauges I did in Illustrator, and I
mm.
used some of those later, but I comped them in a very different way.
Yeah, it doesn't look as
um,
realistic.
yeah, and this, I mean, it's highly stylized,
Mm-hmm.
but also like it just isn't hitting the way that it's a lot less cinematic than
Right.
I think the end product that I eventually did
Right.
was. And you can see here I was trying to build out the whole vehicle. And again, yeah, just trying to like build everything. Look at this, like
Yeah, yeah.
using this like manager. This is before there were folders, I think, in
Mm,
ZBrush. So it was just kind of like a logistical
right.
nightmare a
You're
little
like, what
bit.
did I get myself into?
Yeah, it was really complicated, and I just didn't have the skills to pull it off.
How are
So even
you?
though I was getting,
I just want to ask, like, the balance of working on something like this while doing your day job and your freelance work. Like, were you trying to create a schedule for yourself to dedicate time to this, or were you just like any free time that was not social, that was not like family time, like you just would kind of chip away at this? Kind of like, did you
the
have like a
second time I
goal?
did, yeah, the
Mm,
second time I did, it was all weekends and after work, and I was doing like 12-hour days,
jeez.
12, 14-hour days. But the first time, honestly, I was freelancing full time, and I took time off, and I just
Mm,
spent my own money paying my own bills, like with my own money, basically working on this thing. And that's why it was also really hard to stop, because I had kind of invested not only time but
yeah.
also my own money into it. So it was a lesson, like all
Uh,
this stuff is like I didn't use any of this, in the fund. I redid all of this, like
can
nothing here is like basically
can I
used.
I'm gonna ask a question that may sound kind of like dumb or simple, but why did you do that? Like, why did you, what you just say? You this is a personal project. Why did you take a break from freelancing, use your own money to work on a personal piece that you, I guess at the time, like didn't even have a full grasp on like the complexity or scope or all, any of that kind of, or like what would the outcome be? Like, was this to get you more work? Was there like an investment that you're putting in that justified it that way? I'm just so curious about like that like thought process.
I think I was inspired by others doing, their own sort of personal shorts. It's always been a goal of mine to make my own things,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I was challenging myself, trying to do something that was very near and dear to my like heart, and um, something that I remembered from when I was young,
Mm-hmm.
and also something that was just like super inspiring when I was just starting out, and I wanted to kind of like try to have my own interpretation of that. Um, and anything beyond that, I guess it was just like trying to really push myself, you know?
So you were doing it for
Um,
you.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
I just
So let's see.
I mean, it's just like it's a another like pursuing art as a career is already like a risk in itself, and then
Yeah.
to almost like double down in that risky territory by being like, I'm gonna take a break from work, use my own money that I've like saved up, work 12-hour days on this like personal project. You know, it feels it's like it is a decision, and like obviously like it didn't hurt you, but it's just like interesting how you like get yourself to that place where you're like, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, I didn't really need any other reason other than just like follow my passion, you know.
Also, this process that you have of like storyboarding, like pre-production, post-production, like I understand that that's how it's done like in the industry or like in a pipeline setting with like teams of people, but why did you do it for yourself? Like, is it just what's comfortable for you to work, or is that just like you want to keep that industry pipeline kind of like process sharpened for yourself?
Yeah, yeah, a little of both. I mean, I definitely wanted to have a sense of like what an actual pipeline is like.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to also like challenge my own way of making things.
Because like sometimes I'm like if I want to create a render or something, I know that the traditional process is to like create a rough sketch, like do some concept sketches, mood paintings, etc., and then bring that
Yeah.
into 3D and then like, you know, troubleshoot all these things and then texture and substance, like these like classic things where you're in and out of like your core program, and that is beneficial for like a pipeline setting. But when you're working, when you are the art director and the approver of everything, you can kind of see it in real time. Like if an idea is going to work, you don't need to like concept it to its full breadth and then come back and make the decision that like, no, these concept sketches aren't going to work, like I need to do it differently. You know, you can like in real time like prune the idea as you're developing it.
Yeah, I think for this one, I really wanted a very tight storyboarded piece.
Mm.
Let's see, like, oh, good. That's all
I
missing.
need to relink everything.
um,
Jeez,
yeah, sorry.
it's okay.
Um, Let me see here.
You have a lot of like screenshots from your process. Like, as you were working on it, were you thinking like, let me take screenshots of every little step just because I want to like put it in my portfolio or something? Is that why you were doing that?
Yeah, some of it. Yeah, for sure. I definitely had, you know, an idea in the back of my head that I wanted to document
Mm-hmm.
quite a bit of it. Even this kind of thing. This is
Mm-hmm.
the storyboards on the far left here that I did.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is the first like, you know, just kind of
Mm-hmm.
non-textured render, and then it's the final on the far right.
Mm-hmm.
But I made this kind of comparison because I wanted to show how tightly synced it was. Like I really thought everything through, and I even animated sort of the focus drift and
Yeah.
various kind of like light leaks and everything in the storyboards very early so that
Mm-hmm.
like I could just tightly follow it in 3D, and it made things very easy in
Right.
the sense that I wasn't scrambling, and I wasn't trying to like, oh, maybe I should put a shot in here or put a thing in there,
Yeah.
because I had the edit already really like thought through.
Yeah.
And sometimes I like to work like that, and sometimes I don't. Like
Yeah.
the last piece that I did was a little bit looser than that, but for this piece I really didn't want to get into the weeds again, you know, like I
Yeah.
had last time where I kind of lost track, and I really wanted to only make the assets that I needed, you know.
Yep.
And again, like some of the hand animation and the facial animations and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, I didn't know how to do that stuff the first time around, you know.
Yeah.
So it was very different
I
approach.
when I see this, especially like in a portfolio, I think about, well, first I think about like younger artists or like newer artists who kind of grow up looking at these kind of breakdowns, but they don't really know like the point of a either a single artist showing all of that or what role each thing plays or what each version implies about the ability of the artist. But I also think about like sometimes if you want to make an animation and you see storyboards being done but in the industry, you're like, I guess I have to make a storyboard even though I don't know anything about like what storyboards do or what problems they're supposed to solve. I'm just going to do
Yeah.
it for the sake of doing it, just to show that I can, but not really because it's like I'm showcasing the value that doing a storyboard brings. Because like what I see in this is you're saying that you have the ability to create and problem solve a lot of the compositional like shots early on, lighting, things like that, very early as the storyboard phase. And then you can also stick to that same idea even though you're just like you're not innovating on the like shots themselves, but you are able to then like compartmentalize and be like, all right, so in this phase I'm only working on modeling but I'm still sticking to the original shot composition. In this phase
Yeah.
I'm only working on like lighting and texturing but I'm still sticking to the original. Yeah, I just feel like that sometimes is lost in sometimes when you see these breakdowns where like the final looks very different from the storyboard, or the storyboard feels like it was done after the main animation was done as like a retroactive like process. And I don't know, I mean, do you have like thoughts on that? Do you feel maybe bored once you've done the storyboard, you've solved all the creative shot problems, and when you're in 3D, when you're in cinema, you're like, actually this lighting looks cooler than what I originally envisioned, but it's different from the storyboard and I don't want to like you know go on the take too much of a turn from what I originally planned. Like, do you kind of find yourself in those situations?
Yeah, definitely. And I think you know, I think I've sort of adjusted it a little bit. For me, this was refining a certain process, and creating very defined guidelines for myself because I didn't want to stray, and I knew I had so much to make, and I didn't want to lose, focus and make things outside of the shot, for example. And I can show, for example, let's see, one of the earlier shots, like these guys here,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Like, for example, this shot especially to me is super iconic. In the original anime, there's a frame of this where they comes whipping around the track, and
Mm-hmm.
they're like they go past here and the lights flicker through here.
Mm-hmm.
So I used, it's not exact, but it's one of these is like a closer frame to something like an original shot from the anime, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to build the whole track, and in some ways, I think when I first started out, I think I would have thought like that. Oh, I mean, I need to build a whole track so I can point the camera anywhere and have it look a certain way.
Yeah, yeah.
But for this, I knew I only just wanted I just wanted certain pieces of the track,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted them to just be visible in certain ways. So let's see, let's just look at Cinema real quick.
Did you use any like asset packs or anything like, or like get help from other artists to develop assets?
I use some stuff for like chain link fencing and stuff like that, like really boring stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I did, but um, no, I made everything.
Mm-hmm.
But to your earlier point, I think there's room for the ability to change your mind and to improve upon a shot, like you said, like, oh, let's change the lighting, and
Mm-hmm.
doing that kind of stuff in 3D, not easy, but
Yeah.
incredibly like efficient.
Yep.
Like you can kind of like do stuff like that on a whim, and it won't cost you anything. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? I think for this kind of like project, it was more about really realizing a vision and not scrambling and not
Mm-hmm.
trying to make everything under the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like here, this chain link fence, for example, this was like an asset that I got, and then I warped it and like did all this kind of stuff for, But for like certain things, like I built everything else in ZBrush, just because I needed certain pieces. But here, like you can see, like it's super simple, Like I didn't try to build any of the track. It's all about what's happening just like underneath here in this little area down here, right? So
Yeah, yeah. It's like just all in
all
pieces.
I care about is this little frame.
Yeah.
Oops. But my point being is like there isn't really a lot to this scene
Hmm.
outside of what's happening in the camera, right? And
Yeah.
so this feels a lot more complex, like once everything's graded and lit, and I hand painted this smoke,
Yeah.
and animated everything with After Effects, and I even think I did some cards in 3D and stuff after the fact, but
How did
you know
you like? That's like that like I don't even know what it is. Like scope breakdown. Did you do that ahead of time, or did you kind of decide that per shot? Like, because this could be in some ways could be done fully in 2D. Like if you made these like individual layers and then just like
Sure.
the lighting doesn't change in a dramatic way that showcases the 3D elements. But it is
Yeah.
3D. So like was part of doing it in 3D was to kind of again like reinforce the pipeline and the ability to work like multidisciplinary, or was it like some other factor?
I mean, I fully wanted to realize it in 3D.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wanted to do, um, I wanted to kind of like showcase abilities and also push my own abilities with CG.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, I don't think I would want to try to do something like this in After Effects, honestly. Like,
Yeah, that's different.
there's certain things that like were just a lot easier to do in 3D.
Yeah,
But again,
yeah.
here you can see like there's nothing really going on in the
Uh-huh.
scene other than what I care about, and that was sort of the planning part with the storyboards, was that I knew anything out of frame
Mm-hmm.
was unnecessary,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it was more about just kind of like figuring out exactly where my camera is, and I already did that in the storyboard more or less.
Mm-hmm.
And I would even bring in like I wonder if I can if that's in here. I think I had in the camera, I would like project an image of the storyboard
Mm-hmm.
and then try to match that camera to the 3D scene, and then build up from there,
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of like I've I was like really really sticking to what I had done in the storyboard. Um and that was just like I think a creative choice, but also a very much of like a production minded choice. Like I really wanted to finish the thing and have it look a certain way and not have to scramble and make things and spend months building an asset that ended up like being underlit and out of frame, and or like out of focus in the background, and then I'm like, well, then I just spent all this time doing nothing.
Have you done
So
that before? I mean, it sounds like you're speaking
yeah,
from
100%.
experience.
I've done that. That's what happened with the last thing that I did, and I had done that previously on other personal projects too, because you get sucked into the like process of making things,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is really fun.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a kind of a trap sometimes.
Oh yeah.
You can get stuck in it. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. And some of these things I didn't even really know how to build.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, this lamp. I had no idea how to build it. I ended up using Moi
Mm-hmm.
and like constructing it, and then I had this like beautiful asset that I could zoom in on,
Yeah.
and it's perfectly subdivided, and instance it
Mm-hmm.
and break it apart. Again, there's like very little to this scene. You know,
That's really cool to
it
see that.
looks it looks like kind of
You
like
got the
in
little
all the
like
clouds. I hand painted all the clouds and stuff because I really wanted all that stuff to feel kind of painterly.
interesting.
Um,
I didn't know those were hand painted at first when I watched it. I didn't get that impression at all.
Oh yeah, well, I mean that's kind of like I was trying to hide it but also show it, you know what I mean? Like I think it's super subtle, and it's
Mm-hmm.
really just about parallax, and then there's a little bit of movement.
Yeah.
And like these birds are done with I hand animated those in
Really?
Photoshop.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't like do just cards or That's like such a small attention to
Um,
detail.
no, yeah, and those took like a while to do too, right?
Was there a point when you were drawing the hand and you're like, why am I doing this? Like, this is taking away from the main thing that I need to move on to the next shot. I'm like wasting, did you feel any of that at all? Like at any
Sometimes,
phase of
yeah.
this whole thing?
I suppose. I was trying to do this mix of 2D and 3D, which I had never really done.
Hmm.
Let's see, the smoke of the cigarette, for example, like this smoke
Yeah.
is 2D.
Yeah, you can kind of see that like hand like
Yeah.
jitteriness. Yeah.
So I drew it on twos, I think, and then and things like that, like the lightning, for example, at the end here.
God, that shot is
That's all.
insane.
That's all hand done.
Wow.
That's frame by frame hand done. So
That's
I like
in After
painted the.
Effects.
No, I did that in Photoshop.
Like just the
So
layers.
I with the timeline and the layers, yeah, and
Mhm.
then I comped it all in. Yeah.
Yeah, you can really see like in this animation your compositing skills and like your like post editing skills because I feel like one of the biggest things that a lot of 3D short films and things like that like people make them like it can kind of suffer from that lack of like maybe even that skill like you don't know how to color grade or how to add like these like post effects bloom and all this like distortion and lens aberration like a lot of that stuff
Mhm.
really can take something from looking like amateur to like very professional.
Yeah, I think some of it's all about timing too. I think the music thing definitely helps me with that. Like editing and animating feels like music to me. Like it's got to have a rhythm, it's got to have a flow, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And this shot is kind of funny too because it's another like nothing shot in the sense that there isn't much geo in it. But like all these cracks and stuff, that's just like 2D after the
Okay,
fact
I was
in
gonna
After Effects
I was waiting for you
laid
to say
out.
that's like geometry. I was gonna just say why.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
uh,
But it was like, super simple to kind of like do,
yeah, that's cool. Like for like a split second, you can
this,
see the lights and stuff. That's nice.
and then it's like,
Oh,
kind of
so
dead,
sad. Yeah,
and then he's still racing,
still going.
still going, still crossing the track.
That ending
Um,
literally gave me chills, man. Like I think it was like this
oh, thanks,
is
dude.
that mixed with the sound design of like the quiet right before you the and I didn't know what to expect seeing that shot. I'm like, so what are we gonna see? Like, are we gonna see the car? Are we gonna see like just rubble? Like, what are we gonna see? And I didn't expect that
Yeah,
like laser beam to be that small. I was expecting it to be. I didn't get I didn't have like a sense of scale because I don't think you really show like all of that stuff like in one at once. You just show like these tight close-ups. And when I saw
yeah,
that, I think it being like this streak after seeing these like intense like inside of the cockpit like shots, then just seeing like a beam of light, and you're like, holy shit, like, whoa.
thanks, dude. I appreciate that. I mean, and again, that was pretty tightly
That
like
was an
thought
idea in the
through.
storyboard, huh? That
Yeah,
really wow.
like these are all like pretty much, realized in 3D.
Like when you're doing the
Except for this one,
arrows.
I ended up not doing this one. It's like steam shot,
Oh
which
yeah.
feels very Akira to me.
Yeah, yeah,
But
like Tetsuo on the cell. Um,
yeah, exactly.
when you're doing the storyboards and you're doing like the red arrows, like that's for you, right? Like, but you're
Yeah,
showing,
that's just
but
telling me like which ways things are moving, and like this one, I know it's hitting the ground, and I know it's gonna want to like bounce
mhm.
and go right. Like so it comes down, it twists that way and goes that way. So it's just little guidelines for me. Like okay, these two go in. This is turning, counterclockwise.
Is that for
Same
you
with that.
to are you like anticipating you're gonna forget like once you're at that stage? Like, oh, I need to be like reminded like what to do, what or
A little bit. I think it's this kind of also kind of standard like procedure storyboards. I know that's to communicate to other artists maybe like where things should go, but yeah, when there's so much when you're producing everything yourself, like it's pretty easy to forget things and to make notes and to give yourself sort of like the ability to not have to remember every single thing every single time
mhm,
is nice, like giving yourself a little bit of a break.
yeah.
And because I was animating, I animated all these in in After Effects too. So like I really wanted to do it like based on like sort of like the motion that I had already constructed for myself for the storyboards.
Can you show one of the interior shots where we're getting like a view of the guy sitting there and like all the
Yeah,
stuff around? I would love to see.
yeah. I'll try to find him.
What about the file structure? Like when you're like, as you're organizing all of this stuff, is this based just like industry knowledge on like how to structure out shots and sub shots and sequences and things, or are you just kind of developing that on your own? Is it from experience of past projects being like super disorganized?
So the folder structure that I use, which is this kind of like project source, creative output docs, and then everything like this, I got this from Michael Wrigley and his Learn Squared course. Like, he doesn't necessarily like make it part of the course, but that dude is a super gangster, and I love the way that he organized his work, and I've been using it ever since. And I like kind of I have like a version of it for myself. I've refined it a little bit, but it's basically that, and it lets me stay super organized. So whenever I'm doing any kind of like project, I just duplicate this whole folder structure, and then I go from there. So it lets me kind of like maintain everything sort of like off on its own.
Yeah.
I would really highly recommend checking out his course. It's one of the earlier Learn Squared courses too. I think he's done a couple. Like I think Learn Squared gets that really right. Like they kind of let you peek into someone's process like that. That's something that I modeled my course after, and I was really trying to show like, here's how I work, and like even if it's a little tedious sometimes, like to me that stuff is really valuable. So I was really just trying to like emulate that, because
Yeah.
it's not just like a skill that I learned like, oh, I know how to use like deformers now or cloners or whatever. It's like a hardcore pipeline thing where it's like, this helps me stay organized for the rest of my professional life, you know. um yeah,
Is his
here's
visor like
Zach.
super high poly?
I'm sorry.
Is his visor super high poly? It's like the darkest thing on in the scene. It seems like.
It might be, yeah. Oh
Whoa!
my god, look at that.
I was thinking
I
like, why would it
think
be so high poly? Is it for like the reflections or for the
I think
textures?
it's because I wanted some super reflections on it.
Is there a chance you forgot to
And
like just decimate it or like remodel it?
no, I don't remember. I'm doing a remesh on it. Okay, there we go. That's a little better. So that's not so bad.
Yeah, yeah,
I think it's because I sculpted it
yeah,
maybe in
yeah.
ZBrush,
That's what
and
I
I
assumed.
needed it to feel like really smooth. So even here you can see the remesh isn't like totally perfect, like here. And so I think just when I sub'd it one more time, it really helped.
Yeah,
So it didn't hurt or
yeah, I
anything,
know.
you
It's
know?
it's like once you have it in 3D, it's like it's there. Might as well use it. But like, I
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like kind of going off on the topic earlier about like 3D makes it so much easier to like go off track. One of the things that I catch myself getting looped into is like the the loop of like efficiency. Like, oh, I could do that with less polys. I could do that. Like, I can make that more optimized. And then I go into like a whole side chain or sidetrack of like trying to like if I would have noticed this like high poly visor, I would have been like, let me try to see if I can just do that as a single plane, or maybe I can just do that in After Effects. I don't even need to do it. You know what I mean? Like I start
100%.
going sideways
Yeah.
on that.
And again, this is like very limited animation. And again, that's another thing that I love about all
Wow,
those
dude.
90s and 80s animes. It's like they get away with murder, they get away with so much. There's just like little light changes,
Yeah.
um, very subtle little things.
Did you use
And
like?
again,
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm actually getting a little. I'm noticing I'm getting excited because I'm seeing all of this stuff. So I'm sorry if I'm like interjecting or like cutting.
yeah, no, please, man,
Um,
interject. No worries.
did you make when you made? There's like multiple cockpit shots throughout the short. Did you make one and then like just like have different camera angles from that one scene, or did you remake the scene each time?
Yeah, for this one, I knew I was gonna point, at him a few different times. So definitely reusing this one a number of times. And then for the like the front dash ones, it's like I didn't bother trying to build, like I was showing in those process photos earlier. When I first started doing this thing, I was like, oh, I'll build the whole cockpit and then I'll point my camera at
Yeah,
it. But
I
it's
mean, it would
like,
feel realistic doing it that way.
yeah, and then
Site.
I just got nowhere because I was just building things all the time. And then so this time I was like, I know exactly where my camera is going to be.
Yeah.
I don't need to build like look at these. These are just like, they're just little cylinders and they don't do anything other than kind of provide just that like piece right here in front, which is going to be in shadow anyway, and I'm texturing it, so it's going to look good. So it's like when he's, where is he? Here, it's
Wow.
like all in shadow.
Look at that
And
high poly visor. Nobody would ever know. It's like 7 million
yeah.
polygons.
Yeah, and all these light beams and
It
stuff
looks sick.
are comped in, After Effects and stuff, so like
Oh, they're not from the
and
render?
I think I animated them and then comped them in after. They're from a separate pass. Yeah.
Did you
Because I'm shooting them past. Yeah.
did
Yeah.
you think about doing them in 3D? Because I would not be able to tell if those were done in 3D or in After Effects. Like I wouldn't be able to know if you have
Um,
like lights in the 3D scene or not. Did you like make
I
that
think
decision
I
early?
I think I wanted the curvature and I didn't want to mess with it,
Mm.
And then like you see all these little dancing little ants going along
Yeah,
the like
yeah.
yeah, which is like to me a very classic Kawajiri thing. He does it
Mm.
in everything, like Vampire Hunter D, like all his films
Oh
have
yeah,
this
like
kind of
outlines.
crawling. And I did these hand by hand, So I did these in Photoshop again, like these are all hand drawn.
Was
So I
that
just like
okay? That's a good detail. Like, did that come like once you had the shot done? You're like, wait a second, let me add this extra flair and let me do it by hand.
No, I 100% knew I wanted those from the beginning
Mm.
because it's such an iconic, to me, it's such an iconic like thing,
Yeah, it's like an
like
accent. Wow,
right. And so when
right
it's
there,
dark,
dude.
right, you can see them like
Oh my God, it's
I
insane.
love it when it's like when it's dark and you can kind of see them crawling through and again in the film they're very iconic.
Yeah,
Like it's part of it's this one. These all have it too, right? They kind of crawl.
yeah.
You
It's
can see on
this.
the left there where they're moving across.
Yeah, it's like
So
it's like the light that's passing, but also has like this like
yeah,
alive feeling.
yeah.
It's like this like
It's like the kind of like
mystical.
he's cruising, so it's like a light on the side
Mm-hmm.
of the track that's like he's passing by.
God, that's so sick.
Um, and I just did them all by hand, like it was
Wow.
like, and those are the kind of things I could have worked it out in 3D and like positioned the light and animated it so that the reflection went perfectly past. But like that's not how they did it.
Yeah.
They did it by hand. And some of these things I really wanted to like feel the same way. So it was way simpler. Like it
Yeah.
just painted on the render afterwards and then
I
have them animate.
compositionally, it's also like a thing that gives like you're directing the attention. Like it's kind of it's if
Yeah.
you really pull away a lot of like the camera shake and like the post effects, it's relatively a static shot, but you're adding
Yeah.
these like little like layers of like things crawling, light beams, like they take what would be a static shot into like a fully immersive like 3D sequence.
Yeah. And it has a light, like there's a life to it rather, or
Mm-hmm,
not a light,
mm-hmm.
but the lights give them life.
God, that's
And again, this is like a super iconic shot for me too in the original anime where like he's either like going through a tunnel or passing
mm,
through a shadowed area and then beneath this like red light,
it's
which
really
I always loved this part. So I was like, I have to do that piece. So there you can see I'm sort of like I'm animating the shadow and I'm using, a piece of 3D, just a piece of geometry to
yeah,
like
yeah.
create that shadow like passing by because
Mm-hmm,
he's not moving at all. Everything else is just moving around him.
mm-hmm.
Because I'm not doing anything here other than animating little pieces inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You don't have to show the rendered view, but are you able to enable like the lights and all the other extra objects that are around there that we can see,
let me
just like
see.
gizmos or something?
I think all the textures and stuff are gonna be unlinked,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
that's fine.
Here, now you can see some of the lights
Oh,
here,
okay, gotcha.
like
Oh, that's the
some of
one
these
that's like in
lights.
front of his
Yeah,
face, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Um,
Cool.
and so yeah, I just like I have warm lights, cool lights, and then I have a few light boxes and stuff that yeah you can see here.
Mm,
Here, this is like a little light box that I made. So this is for the shadow.
mm.
Um, so I just kind of like I took a light and I put it inside this little box.
That's cool. I never thought about
And
doing
then I
that.
made these guys, and then I could animate these guys, to kind of like slide them around to
What
create
the?
a sense of because I needed
Yeah,
this very like specific slice
yeah,
that moves across his helmet, as he's passing right there,
yeah,
that one.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's that box,
Dude, that's
So
genius.
I needed it to be a certain shape, and so then I could just animate this box, um, and
Wow.
I could just move it around, and
That's cool.
if I needed to like widen the light, I could just like widen it,
Yeah,
you
it's like
know,
very
and then
physical.
open it up more or whatever. And so like super brute force stuff, but like this is how films are made,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you put a light somewhere and then you mask it and then you block it and you bounce it and what have you. I
Mm-hmm.
was just trying to be smart,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see like I've reused it here. Like here's another light box here.
That's cool.
That just so really simple stuff,
I love
but
that. I
like it
love
gets
that.
the job done.
Yeah, and it shows your knowledge about like kind of like like being efficient like on site, quote unquote, and being like, hey, we need to get this effect, here's how we get it, like let's just put a damn thing in front of a light and let's not worry about like let's try not to make it more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah, because I've been on that road before where I tried to do everything really um really like properly,
Hmm.
and then I realized like kind of later on that so much of filmmaking and animation as well is like just smoke and mirrors.
Yeah,
And
right.
if your camera is a certain place, like, and you needed the foreshortening to be in a certain way, like when you zoom out, the arms are like insanely long or something like that.
Yeah,
You like one of those tricks, like they do that kind of stuff all the time.
yeah,
And I think there's like a thing in our brains where we think that it has to be like perfect
yeah.
before we can start shooting it. And I definitely fell into that trap, and it's not the case at all,
Mm-hmm.
like um so again, that was why I did the storyboards in the way that I did, and I was very like surgical about it,
Mm-hmm.
in that way. So let me see, like
Can you show
uh
the file for when he like when he's like screaming with his mouth open?
yeah, this the last one,
Yeah, like
or
yeah. Or I don't know. I mean, geez. Yeah, I mean, you kind of show the cockpit one, so I'm sure that it's not too much different.
yeah, this
But
one's kind of fun
yeah,
actually.
can we see that one? That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, let's see. S-
I I watched. I think once I saw your version, I watched it. I found it, and I found it online and watched
oh,
it.
you did? Okay. Yeah,
There
it's amazing.
there's a part, and it made me think about like, oh, it's interesting he chose to like recreate or like pay homage to this part and not this aspect of it. In the in the
Hmm.
in the
Hmm.
anime, like he literally, I mean, he dies, but it's very gruesome. It's like this very slow
Yeah.
long shot of him like screaming and fire and shit coming out of him,
Yeah, he disintegrates for sure.
and
Yeah.
it's very like big full screen, like his mouth is like stretching in an unrealistic way. Did you Were you like, I don't want to go that far with mine, I want to keep it like not as scary and brutal?
I
Did you
think
like
I
make a
think I
conscious
just
decision?
didn't go. Yeah, I don't know. I think I love that. I love that part of it too. And I am touching on it just like briefly,
Yeah, it's
but
quickly.
I didn't. I think some of it you get into like some like fluid sims
You're
and
like,
certain
that's
things
way
with.
out of scope for what I
Yeah,
did.
so I think some of it was like a bit. Yeah.
It was like fire and all these other things, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe some of it was like outside my wheelhouse just enough to where I didn't want to touch it. But
Mm.
I also when I try to stick really close to the original idea, when I sit down and do storyboards, I tend to it comes out of me really quickly, and I know exactly what I want, like
Mhm.
within like the first draft, and then I just kind of remove or add little bits in here and there if I need to.
Yeah.
Um, but so that for whatever reason that shot didn't make it into
Yeah, that's fair.
what I was trying to show. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
I wanted to show this one because it's got a bit more kind of like
Mm.
smoke and mirrors again.
More
Like,
parallax, yeah.
yeah, just really simple. I'm using cloners for a lot of this stuff, so I built all these little assets,
Uh-huh.
and then I'm just distributing them with cloners.
It's like an instance of points
Um,
kind of situation.
Yeah, yeah. So it's an instancing situation um, where they're all just like different pieces, and like you can use deformers to scale them and change their position in space and stuff like that. So they look like they're different when they're actually the same. Like
Hmm.
these two are the same.
They're just like turned around. They're like
They're
silhouetted.
just turned around.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can get a lot more
And
cinema.
again, it's like this is like about I did in the final shot, I'm doing like a speed ramp.
Nice.
So he comes in, so
Yep.
it kind of like starts fast and then goes slow, right?
Hmm.
So it kind of like starts fast and then goes slow. So it kind of gives this idea of um, of motion moving forward, and adds to the drama.
Yeah.
But this I just animated all at the same time. But I'm parallaxing things so that there's a sense of movement within the scene as well.
Is that the
Um,
same character asset from the cockpit, or is that just like a lower poly different version?
it's the same asset.
Mm.
It's the same asset that I built in ZBrush,
Mm.
um, and I think I animated him with Character Creator
Mm-hmm.
because that let me rig him and skin him the way that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and some of the stuff, man, it was like this asset here,
The knee pads? Yeah.
his knee pads, they weren't originally part of the model.
Hmm. Wait.
So like if I remove the
You're
jumpsuit, let's see
telling
if
me
I
that
can.
they're animated kind of separately from the leg movement?
I animated the knee pads by hand.
I love that.
So I just like went frame by frame. You can see it has an animation curve there.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just like placed them in spot and then animated them like frame by frame,
Yeah, it kind of
turn
moves
them
separately.
and
You can see it now.
just to make sure that they're there. And in
That's
the final
hilarious.
shot, like you barely see it, like you barely see his knee pads at all,
Yeah.
right? Like this one I'm animating by hand,
Yeah. That's
Um,
hilarious.
so like stupid shit like that. But like,
Yeah. That's like one of
yeah,
those things when you're doing it, you're like, I'm not a professional. Like I didn't think this far ahead, or like I didn't solve this problem when I should have, like, but now I like
yeah, but
have to just
like
make it
it
work.
wasn't. Yeah, it just wasn't like it was. I think it was giving me problems in some other way, and so I just like was like, who cares? No
Yep.
one will ever know.
Yep.
Um, and I think what else? I'm using. Oops, sorry about that.
You're good.
I'm using these kind of pink rings here
Mm.
are what they are they're effectors. So I'm
Oh, okay.
using them to change the behavior of all the clones, and I
Mm.
wanted them to like be out of the out of this like area where he is. So I think I'm using them to like you can see some of that. That's using it
Mm.
to disperse all those, right? So
Mm.
they're all like in this one place
Mm.
here, and then when I turn that on, which one was it? This one. Yeah.
I
So you
see.
can like it it, it pushes them all apart, and I think these center ones here are just to kind of like remove them basically from
Mm.
this area. Um, yeah, pretty
Force
simple
field.
like frame, and then I all of this stuff is like highly comped,
Yeah.
where I'm doing different color passes and then comping them together. I think the little light flickers in the background stuff are
Yeah.
done with After Effects. I think
Okay.
I would do that in 3D now, but at the time, I think I did it in After Effects. And then, and I think some of these, it's funny, like some of the stuff, I think, where he's doing his little, yeah, here, this piece,
Yeah, yeah.
um, which I think is a pretty iconic, like, part
Mm-hmm.
of the original anime as well.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of, that's the thing. I kind of wanted to do some of the pieces some of the shots that were more about his struggle with the psychokinetic energy stuff that he was going through versus just like, cool, he's in a car and he
Yeah.
explodes,
Yeah.
which I felt like was more about the inner turmoil of this person, of Zach.
Yeah.
But for example, this one is like full of smoke and mirrors, like all this foreground stuff here.
Mm.
Like I think I pulled that from the original storyboard. Like it was my original like crap sketch. And
Wow.
I just I put it on like a card and I just blurred it out in the foreground and like what I mean? Because it's like doing the job that it needed to
Why
do.
did you choose to do it that
And
way as opposed to like the way you did the shot of him of his full body?
I think I just liked the way it looked,
Mm.
and I didn't want to change it.
Mm.
And some of those background elements that are floating up, which
Mm.
I think you did that recently with the Akira thing,
Oh
right? With
yeah,
those
yeah.
the pieces floating up, which I thought was really smart. But this is kind of similar. Like that's
Yeah.
how you would do it. You would do it with something like this, and you would move one of these fields around, and you would push and pull on the items.
Mm.
But with that, I'm just hand animating stuff, I think, and so I'm doing a little bit of both. But yeah, for the foreground, it's totally 2D.
Mm-hmm.
There's because it's just like in black, and then it's in shadow, and it's totally out of focus, and it doesn't need to bring any kind of like major attention.
Yeah. Yeah, some of
Yeah.
these shots are like some of the this is just like a um I don't know. It's just like an opinion, but like some of the shots I feel like look hyper realistic, and I don't know what it is, if it's like the level of detail or what, or like the or I don't know, just like the skin wrinkles versus like smoothed out wrinkles. Like some shots look less realistic. Is that just like a product of like you working on it? Like you're not an expert in every single type of discipline, so some shots are stronger than other shots. I don't know. Like, does that question make sense?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, I think like I was, going for a certain type of style where for example, this shot is like a pretty realistic looking medallion,
Mm-hmm.
but I still have this like hand painted background,
Mm-hmm.
and the lighting is very kind of soft and diffused, and there's a certain amount of, I think, painterly kind of stuff going on, but I wasn't necessarily trying to do like an anime look, but I was
Right.
trying to
Of course.
do a mix of 3D and 2D that I thought was interesting and
Mm-hmm.
kind of borrowed from both
Mm-hmm.
without being either, if that makes sense,
Yeah. Sure.
like, and that's the style that I enjoy. I,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wanted to just like use all the skills that I had and have,
Mm-hmm.
to try to execute like just within this one shot.
Mm-hmm.
You have a hand painted background, you have this cigarette that I
Has like
modeled in ZBrush and then textured it with a super simple texture map.
mm-hmm.
And then I did the smoke in 2D in Photoshop, which I
Mm-hmm.
comped together. And then the medallion I built in Moy, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and or ZBrush. And then I animated it like I built this chain in Cinema,
Yeah.
so that I can move dynamically. And then, yeah, like there's just like for me, there's like a number of skills that you need in order to just execute on this one shot, which seems kind of simple. It's just a cigarette and a medallion
Yeah.
falling.
And like, I mean, I
And
think going to the whole point of this is like you're trying to showcase that. So like, if you were to if you were tasked to do this as efficiently as possible, maybe you wouldn't do all of those things. Or if you were tasked to do it only in After Effects, you would find other ways of doing it.
Yeah.
But this
Yeah.
case is to showcase your versatility and ability to
Yeah.
use multiple
Yeah.
tools. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, this goes back to this specific shot too. Goes back to story for me as well. Like if you're a fan of the original piece, then you know very like well that there's this like amazing shot at the end where the cigarette that the narrator slash detective guy is smoking, he drops it when he sees Zach's like connection kinetic energy thing happening, and the medallion is something that Zach wears around his neck the whole time, like
Right.
this wheel medallion. And so there's like a connection there for me of the two falling and crashing to the ground at the same time.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff was me more important to tell than him like exploding in blood and fire kind of thing. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Right.
Like this is such an iconic shot for me. Like it's such a big thing. Like, and so again, that was like my version of the homage is really about like the things that I remember that was in my brain. Not so much like the thing that I think maybe everybody
Like the fan
remembers.
base.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, again, this one's like, hand painted background,
Yeah.
comped in. Um, and then I did like a particle thing for the ash when it comes apart. It's
Yeah.
just very brief.
There's something about like a project like this that I feel like a lot of artists can get a lot of value from, even for themselves, like as a portfolio piece, because like again we kind of at the beginning talked about like being able to jump into a pipeline and like kind of find your place and like be a smooth entry into like an established workflow or art style or narrative or whatever. So I think like sometimes making fan art or like just that has like a negative term almost to artists where it's like to make original shit. I mean, like, I'm speaking again from like stuff I've heard. Is like I made the Akira thing because I like Akira. Like I don't know what else to tell you. So like, you know,
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
the
Everyone loves
feedback
it.
is
Yeah,
like sometimes the feedback is like do your own thing. Why aren't you making your own ideas? And it's like I think even like in a professional industry setting, like if you get put on like an Iron Man movie or something, that is like an established IP with established like the art direction and like world building that you have to like stick to. And if you
yeah,
can stick to it and build upon it with respect, that is like a greater skill, I feel, than just like making fan art. You know what I mean? Like I feel like the
yeah,
practice
yeah. I
of
see
doing
what you
fan art and like building upon it and putting your own twist on it is a skill that is actually kind of like valuable, but it may not
Yeah,
seem that way.
yeah. No, I agree. I mean, you got to stay true to your own like vision, and I think, you know, I wanted to just kind of again be true to the things that meant a lot to me, and just instead of trying to do things either for an audience or for other people, I wanted to do something that meant a lot to me, and for example, this these billboards, um and which is this scene here, where it's like the dead track, and it wakes up
Yeah.
as he's passing by, and I decided to do his number 37 in there as well. But all these other signs, are from the original film or from the original animation. And this is one where I did build it out,
Whoa, dude, that's a
quite
huge
a bit
asset.
more. Where is it? Come on, there we go. So
Wow, that is a lot of stuff.
it's there's a bit more,
Yeah.
just enough to fill the frame,
Yeah. Yeah.
and some of the stuff I'm reusing and everything. uh but again, this is like the thing that sticks out in my brain was like all these these things. Like I loved all these
Cipher,
like
yeah.
these graphic bits, and so I ended up like looking at the original anime and finding like these and building them out in
Oh my
Illustrator,
goodness.
and
Yeah.
then importing them and extruding,
Mm,
and it was actually quite a one of the more simpler shots, but it has a lot of like it has a lot of nostalgia for me, and it has a lot of like uh meaning,
yeah. What are those
so yeah, like
orbs? There's like floating orbs.
these
Are those lights or something, or cards of some kind?
uh,
They look like they might be
that's a
like
great question.
camera. Look like they're tracked to the
That's a great
camera.
question.
They, you think they're
Oh no,
you think
these
it's like
are
dust elements or something?
these are there's a broken plugin actually. These
Oh,
are little, yeah, these are objects that wires connect.
oh,
There's a
cool.
plugin that I have. So like if you look at, let's see, like all
Mm,
these cables here, like the
mhm.
ones in the background,
Cool.
they're all connected to a piece of geometry on each
I
end,
see. I see.
and then that allows, they kind of have a tiny bit of movement, and I'm using that throughout, like here and here as well. Like you can see some of the movement up top there.
Yeah.
I'm using that plugin quite a bit for just for loose cables. It's like a really slick little plugin that does that kind of stuff. But for whatever reason, it's broken on this scene, So
Hmm.
it's nothing too crafty.
Yeah. 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 I was just so curious.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I love doing this kind of stuff. And like what else? Like
Do you you do the textures of all the 3D assets inside of Cinema, like using its like its own like
yeah, yeah.
built-in
I
texture?
used Octane for everything. Yeah, so like texture everything, and
Are you able to show what
um,
some of the renders look like out of Cinema but before they go into After Effects for all the like beautifying stuff?
yeah. Let me see. Let's see here. See, that's the track.
These are these like individual frames that you export as frames?
Yeah, these are just
Mm.
EXRs.
Oh my goodness. And you keep this stuff once you're done with the project?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. Good
Is it just
question.
like I'm
Like,
afraid to delete it, like somehow I might need it later kind of thing?
yeah, I don't know. I guess it doesn't really affect me keeping them, but I kind of like having them individually because sometimes I go in and I
Mm,
paint on individual frames and stuff. So I like having the like flexibility. But you
mm.
can see this is like that's one beauty pass, indirect lighting,
Oh wow, so you're exporting like
reflection.
multiple passes.
Yeah, I don't do so much of it now. I tend to use like a little bit of post processing. You can see this like a little bit of diffusion.
Yeah. Is that just are you just so used to that workflow? Because like I don't think I work like that. And so when I see that, that to me just feels like an organizational nightmare. Crap, like which layer is this? I'm like
No, I'm
if
super used
if
to
I
it. I love having that amount of control, honestly, because like for me, compositing is super key. You can make it really like different,
mm,
based on the compositing. So some people, are really good in the way that they work, in the sense that they want everything in camera in the shot, and
mm,
then they just like press render, and they have everything baked in, and then
yeah.
they do a little bit of color correction and grading and call it good,
Mm,
and that's great. But for me, I also like kind of know what I want out of the shot,
mm,
and in certain cases I want to paint on the frames, in certain cases I want to like tweak just like one area. And that's another thing with this project. I didn't have crypto mats yet, so I had to
mm.
create mats for myself.
Jesus.
You know what crypto mats are?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like is it kind of
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
clown pass?
Yeah, it's a clown
Similar?
pass,
Okay.
exactly. So Octane didn't have clown passes at the time, so I had to like create mats, and like so I had to export those, and like,
Wow.
yeah, so shit like that
Jesus, dude. That would be
was
like that would make me not want to do it anymore.
oh dude, I love crypto mats so much now. It's just such a lifesaver, but
Yeah.
like essentially I wanted to be able to do certain things that if I bake it in and then a lot of times I would have to come back around and re-render and so I think it's personal preference, you know,
Yeah.
like
When I think
yeah, it's part of how I work.
when I think about passes, again, going back to like the pipeline setting, like you're working on a bigger team, the director maybe changes their mind in like we want the background to be bright instead of dark. Like, oh, good thing we have all these like passes, we can do that. But when you're working on your own on a project, I can see the value of like I need to showcase that I know this pipeline, but does that also open you up for like scope creep when you're like in the storyboard I didn't have the bloom here, but now that I can do it in post, I think I will. Do you have to watch yourself, or do you just like stay disciplined, stay locked in on like the final result and don't like veer outside of that?
Yeah, I think it's more the latter, honestly. Like, I kind of work until I have a reaction, and then once I have that reaction, then I go for it. You know, like an emotional, yeah, connection or reaction to it. And if further down the line, I've done a bunch of comping and I've like, kind of have the shot and I've refined it so much that I've like lost that original feeling,
Mm-hmm.
then I will go back and take another pass at it, and sometimes that's all it takes is like turning off a light or moving a thing or changing the camera slightly or the focal length or whatever. It's sort of like that, when you do a sketch and you has all that energy because you were like loose and you were like just drawing and you weren't overthinking it, and then you refined it and rendered it to all hell and now it looks super stiff and like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
every artist has that issue.
Yeah.
And I think that was one thing that I was really trying to, I had that front and center for this whole project was like, I really want to retain that energy throughout the whole piece. And I don't want to overdo it. I want a really like tight, connection to each shot. And I know
Mm-hmm.
exactly where it's going to go. And so, yeah, it was very like scripted in that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that was for me like a really big like learning. It was a lesson, and also just like I wanted to just like see if I could do it that way. and
Right.
and I think I now that I have the system, I know how to break it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I tend to basically follow this like way of working now,
Mm-hmm.
like for all my other stuff as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really sorry about my camera. I hope I wasn't freaking out.
It's not freaking out. It just looks like it's an Android phone, and then that's pretty much it. But it's okay. Like I still see your face and your eye color. Like I see like black dots. It just looks like it's like
Is it the same?
480p.
Is it the same when I'm streaming? As like,
No,
or
no,
sorry,
no.
sharing?
Yeah. Well, it's like when you flick it on and off, it like gets high res, and then like after maybe 10 minutes, it defaults to like this 360p quality. But I
Dude,
mean,
yeah,
again, I can still see.
potato.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like I can literally see the squares and stuff.
Dude, I'm so sorry.
It's
It
like a pixel
sucks.
filter. It's okay. It's okay. Dude, thanks for showing that. I really appreciate you like doing a second round in order to like bring that, because I think all of that stuff is like super interesting, and
Yeah, that was really fun.
I love
Actually, I
just
haven't
looking
gone
at that.
through it in that way before. So
Dude,
maybe I'll do a little deep dive on the stream sometime.
that'd be sick. Yeah, and maybe like
Yeah.
I just like just to share a little bit about like the Akira project I did. Once I did it, I felt like I learned a bunch of stuff along the way. It took me like about a year to put all the shots together because I was like, I had no scope. I was just like learning all of that stuff. And I'm trying to do it again now, but going back and going to other shots that maybe I was like afraid of doing. And I'm also trying to learn how to collaborate. So like one thing I'm doing is I'm like, okay, like on the original one, I had a buddy in my Discord server like offer to make an asset to help me like get the ball rolling on it, and it actually helped so much. Like even on an emotional level, like when there's a bunch of work in front of you and you're like, why did I sign myself up for this? And somebody's like, hey, like here's a hand, and you're like, oh my god, lifesaver, like I can keep going.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so now when I'm doing it, allowing myself to like purchase assets or like even like hire people to make a specific thing and just be
Sure. There's no shame in doing that stuff.
yeah, and like I think I did it one way, and through that I think it was successful. But I also knew where my like pitfalls are and my limitations, and now I'm doing it again as a way to be like, let me try it as if I'm doing it for a client. Like, what are all the resources I would expend? Like, what would I do if I was to really do this for somebody else? And then also like kind of treating myself like in a better, favorable way. Do you ever think about like doing another anime homage, but like really coming at it like headstrong, maybe putting money behind it or like getting a team around it? Do you ever think about that or like fantasize about that kind of stuff?
I mean, not at the moment. The it's funny because I'm the last thing that I made, which is done, but it's just being worked on for sound right now, is
Mm.
a tribute to a comic actually. So it's like super comic book inspired.
Sick.
But
Are you able to say which, or is it kind of like a secret for now?
no, not yet. I don't
Fair
want to say
enough.
yet. But I have like more of an original idea for the next short that I'm gonna do, which will
Mm.
be even more like stylized and
Oh,
contrasty and
whoa.
sort of definitely like Kawajiri inspired as well, but not an homage. It's an
Right.
original thing. So yeah, maybe, but I think I got it like a little bit out of my system. Like I really wanted to do the one for Running Man,
Mm-hmm.
and again, like I said, I think it's somewhat of an overlooked one, and it felt really special to me, and it felt really like yeah, just like one that really sticks out in my mind. Like really early exposure to that kind of art, and I
Mm-hmm.
think I owe a certain amount of like interest in art to it,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, it felt right to do it to that one. So unless there's another one, I'm not going to touch Akira because other people like yourself and like Ash and others have done such
Yeah.
amazing stuff with it. So I don't I don't know, I don't really want to, although I'm a huge fan and I have a bunch of Akira
Yeah.
stuff, and but
The,
like obviously Otomo is a big deal. Like maybe there's other Otomo
yeah.
stuff, like like no
Totally.
one's ever done any Domu stuff or anything,
Yeah.
but like,
I mean, I think even the
there's
manga, like, there's a lot of iconic shots from the manga that are not in
oh,
the
it's yeah,
anime that
massive.
you can like, touch on. But dude, I'm gonna
Yeah,
let you
thanks for
go.
your time, dude.
Thanks
Yeah,
for doing this. Thanks for doing this. It's again,
absolutely, man.
sorry the camera thing didn't work out, and it's just gonna look like this. And like, I'm just giving you a heads up. Like, it'll look like a selfie razor cam, like
Oh
those
my
old flip
god.
phone
You know
razors.
what? If it's just like, if people are just hate it and they're just like, what is this potato? Like we can try to redo it again, but in a different
Nah,
way
dude,
or
the magic
something.
is there. This is the charm of you know. Sometimes artists, this shit happens.
Yeah. Sorry,
That's the charm.
everybody. I really thought that my expensive camera was gonna not geek
It's
out on
doing
us,
something.
but
It's doing something. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
I'll
all
figure
good.
it out.
All right, man, dude.
Okay.
Thanks again for doing this. Yeah.
Thanks, dude.